Hello and welcome to the Golf Course Lawn Show. My name is Ron Henry and I'm here to help answer your lawn care questions. Now, if this is the first time you're joining us, welcome. Super happy to have you here. The way this works is really simple. On your screen, you'll see a chat box. In that chat box, you can enter your question, concern, comment of the day, and I work through them in the order that they come in. Now, sometimes I have the answers, sometimes I do not. But either way, we have an awesome time talking about lawn care and sometimes life. Guys, spring is upon us. We are only a couple of weeks out from the official start of spring. Weather's starting to warm up. We're starting to get some warmer days here in Georgia, which is pretty awesome. I'm already getting pictures from some of you guys showing me pictures of your lawn as far as how they are progressing. There's some folks whose lawn never really went fully dormant, so they're already doing some core aeration. So we got some pictures to show tonight. We got some projects as far as some storage that was done, and want to give you guys an update on that. And should be a fun show. Should be a fun show this evening. It's a great time of the year. Everything's getting going. People are getting their soil tests done. It's getting geared up to get the season going. So it's really exciting time of year. All right. So as always, we're coming to you guys on YouTube as our main platform, but you can also watch the show on Instagram, Twitter, and also Facebook or Meta. So depending on which way you want to consume it, it's all available pretty much on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. The show stays archived, so you can always watch it later after the fact. So again, whichever way works best for you. All right, let's get into it. Let's see who we have in the show this evening. First of all, we got Mr. Melvin Otta. He's leading us off with a question about pre-emergent. He says, "Hey Ron, when I did my pre-emergent, the soil was moist for the past rainy days, and then the day after it rained again. Do you think the product washed away? Do you recommend another application?" I think you're absolutely fine, Melvin. So just because the soil was moist and then you applied your pre-emergent and then you got more rain afterwards, you're still going to be absolutely fine. There's no concern and all there. There's no need to reapply your pre-emergent. This is a common question I'm getting this time of year fairly frequently, where folks go out and they do a pre-emergent app, and then there's either heavy rainfall, and they're just concerned about, washout and just that they may need to go out and reapply it. The answer is no. You do not need to go out and reapply your pre-emergent. You're gonna be just fine. There's no need to do that. So I appreciate the question. I'm sure I'm gonna get it again tonight, but you can be rest assured. I'm sure as long as you apply the pre-emergent at the correct rate, which I'm sure you did, and watered it in, which it sounds like it got plenty of water, you'll be just fine. No need to reapply, sir. Great question. Thanks so much. All right, so before the show started, we had a question from Stephen Thompson, and it didn't come through here in the, actually it is here. I'll see it here in a second. I'll bring it up. Your question didn't come through, Stephen. I was worried because you posted so early that it might not be there, but I do see it here in the queue. All right, next up we got Mr. Ninos Yokana. He has entered the chat. He says, happy Friday at Ron Henry. Temperature starting to climb above 40 here in Chicago. This is my first year starting your program from the beginning of the season. Gave my big like. Awesome, Nino. So the thing is, you got really good results from what I remember starting midway through the season as you went through it. So starting from the beginning, it's going to be just that much better. What I tend to find is, if you are consistent, again, the big thing is consistency here. If you're consistent where you end the season well, that just puts you further ahead for the next year. Because you think about it, like a lot of folks that discover this content, discover the channel, discover the Golf Course Lawn Store, many times it's in search of a solution to a problem they're having. So maybe they've got weeds in their lawn, maybe they got crabgrass, and they're tired of always dealing with weeds year in, year out. Maybe they don't know what their nutrient program should look like, and they finally find some content that allows them to get on the right track. So if you follow that through into the fall, which I'm sure you did, you get your fall pre-emergent out. Now, this time of the year, if you're dealing with weeds, it should be substantially less than the average person who doesn't do these things. It doesn't understand the importance of pre-emergent and just getting ahead of getting ahead of the weeds at this time of year. So yeah, I have no doubt that if you're consistent with your mowing, with your nutrient applications, it's pretty difficult to not have an amazing lawn. Like I always tell folks, chasing like a dark green lawn, while it's always a great goal, right? Something that everyone wants. If you can just focus on the things that create great grass, so good soil quality, adequate watering, a good mowing schedule with sharp equipment, it's like an awesome lawn is like a byproduct. It's almost like a person that has the goal of like trying to get into shape, right? Yeah, you can go into the gym and say, you know what, I want to get a six pack. But if all you ever do, you go into the gym and all you ever do is look at your abs after every time you work out, you're going to quickly get frustrated. Versus if you just focus on the things that lead to that, so good diet, doing weight training, and you're constantly progressing. It's one of those things that kind of happens as a byproduct. So great grass is very much the same way. Just focus on the inputs that lead up to what you want, and then you can't help but get the results. So I'm sure you're going to have an awesome lawn this year. Keep us posted as far as how it does. What I would tell you is what I tell most folks, and I'm telling you this because it's advice I wish someone had given me, which is take pictures, because I don't have a lot of pictures of my lawn when it was really crappy. You know what I mean? Like there was a time, believe it or not, when my lawn looked not that great. And I don't have a whole lot of pictures of it when it was in that state. If you're watching the videos in the Golf Course Lawn Academy, I think in the introduction video for that, you'll see some clips of what the lawn used to look like, which is pretty bad. But it's still nothing compared to the amount of content that I have now that it's in a much better shape. So I tell anyone that's really going to commit to doing this, take pictures of the process so you can really appreciate, how far you came along the way. All right, next up is Mr. Stephen Thompson. He says, getting my question in early in case I miss the stream tonight. Would using a Sun Joe Scarifier be similar to verticutting? I don't want to float again this summer with the Revolution, Dallas-Fort Worth, Bermuda. Yeah, so Stephen, it's all in how you set it up. From what I understand with the Sun Joe, there's a couple different versions of it, but there's if I understand, there's two different cartridges you can swap out. You can have one that is more like a verticutter where there are like solid blades, and there's a setup where you have like the spring-loaded like fingers, almost like paper clips almost that are sticking out of it. The one that has the more solid blades, that is more in line to the way a verticutter would behave. Whereas the spring-loaded fingers is more along the way of how a turf rake or scarifier would behave. So if you're looking to verticut, what you're going to want is more of a solid blade. And as far as the results you're going to get, it's really important that you set up the machine that it doesn't dig into the soil. Like if you're trying to get most of the benefits of verticutting while also minimizing stress to your Bermuda lawn, if this is the surface of your lawn, right, this is actual soil, you're gonna wanna set that verticutter to where it's, 2-4 millimeters just above the surface. So it's cutting the stolons, it's doing a good job cleaning up, as far as like thinning out the lawn gently, but you're not, being so aggressive that the lawn is gonna have trouble recovering. So can you get a good result with the Sunjoe? Yes, there's people that use that and they get great results with it. There's plenty of folks in the Golf Course Lawn Academy that have that same piece of equipment and they get good results with it. So to answer your question, yes, but it's all in how you set the machine up. All right. So yeah, if you have any more tips on that, feel free to reach out and I'll do my best to help you out. But the big thing is you don't want to set up the machine so aggressive that it's carving channels into the soil, because as you're saying, the problem you're trying to solve rather is as you reel mow a lawn, right? As we know, for Bermuda grass, the best way to maintain Bermuda and have it looking its absolute best, the grass is healthier, I mean, just in general, just looks its best, is when it is reel mowed. The challenge with that is that when you reel mow Bermuda, and something you're consistent with, when you get into the hotter time of the season, so when you get in, for me in my lawn, it starts happening in like late in May. The lawn begins to thicken up and really get dense. And while it would sound like a good thing, when you're reel mowing, it can get to the point to where it's so thick that the mower kind of floats on the surface of the grass instead of riding on the soil. And what that does is you start getting scalping in places that you didn't get it before. So the way to correct that is a couple different ways. You can verticut, like what Steven is asking, or you can do like a mid-season scalp. Of the two, I'm a bigger fan of verticutting because it's a lot less visually disruptive. It's less from the standpoint of the stress on the lawn, it's less stressful. So if you have a way of verticutting, and again, a Sunjoe is a good way of doing that, it's what I would recommend. Really starting in late May, so between May to June is when for most people you can begin verticutting, and then just monthly. So May going into June, June going into July, July going into August. So really 3 times out of the year is going to put you in a really good spot. If you're in a part of the country, like say Florida or South Texas or Arizona, where it stays hotter for a lot longer, you may have to extend that. You may start sooner. Like I've verticut my lawn as early as late April. And depending on where you are in the country, you may extend that into the August, September timeframe, but it really just depends on how aggressively the grass is growing depending on where you are. So again, hope that helps, sir. Again, if you have any feedback or have any other questions, feel free to reach out and I'll do my best to help you out. All right. Next up, True Gator fan. I mean, he's not a Bulldog fan, but we'll still take it. We'll still take it. He says, happy Friday, Ron. I just dropped in to smash the like button. I'm going to miss the live stream. I'll listen tomorrow while applying lime to the backyard. Awesome. Appreciate that, True Gator fan. Again, it's if you can't catch the show live, catching it after the fact is also appreciated as well. And guys, as we're going through the show, I know it's still early. We're only 10 minutes in. This is kind of greedy to ask for this already. But whatever platform you might happen to be on, whether it be YouTube or Instagram or Twitter, whatever that platform has for engagement, whether it be a like button, a dislike button, if you really just don't like me and don't like the show, I would really appreciate if you guys could do that, because it just sends good vibes to whatever algorithm that I happen to be streaming on and sends more folks this way. So if you're enjoying the show, be sure to hit that like button because it really does help out. All right, next up, we got Mr. Kerry McDaniel. He says, earthworm castings were a problem in my Bermuda last year. Issue is that reel smashes the castings and makes spots. Any ideas? Yeah, so here's the thing, Kerry. Worm castings are a common thing. I have them in my lawn. And here's the thing you may not want to hear and might not realize is that earthworm castings are actually a sign of healthy soil. Earthworms are a benefit to the soil profile. They're like natural aeration. And in my case, what I do is whenever I reel mow, kind of like what you're saying, the front roller just mashes them down. Now, I reel mow frequently enough, typically every other day, mainly because I just enjoy mowing the lawn. But even if you're doing it, twice per week, every 3 days, that's really going to be enough to where those castings shouldn't become a problem where they're going to disrupt the grass's ability to grow. So while visually you may not like them, they're, I'd say in many ways, like a badge of honor. They're a sign of healthy soil, that you're doing a lot of good things. A lot of great stuff is going on beneath the surface. And there's not a ton that you really can do about it, or that you really should want to do about it. You know what I mean? Again, earthworms are a sign of healthy soil. So what you're experiencing where you just use your reel mower just to run over them is the same thing that I do with mine. The more frequently you mow, the less, in other words, you're not giving them a chance to really kind of perfolate all throughout the lawn, where you have them all over the place and it becomes kind of an eyesore. It's just something that I become used to. And again, it's not a bad thing. It really isn't a bad thing. Like worm castings are a sign of healthy soil. So hope that helps, sir. Sorry, I don't have a better answer for you as far as like, here's how you get rid of them. Because you really shouldn't want to get rid of them. They're a good thing. All right. Billy Bob is in the live stream. I think I know who this is. He says, hi, Ron Henry. What's going on, Billy? I think I know who this is. I think you go by a different name on Instagram. And if you are that person, hello. And if you're not that person, hello anyway. All right. Next up, Mr. Jason Harrison is in the chat, where he says, happy Friday, all. Ron, what's the drink of the evening? Guys, tonight is going to be pretty boring. Tonight, it's just water. Just good old H2O. Now, here's the thing. I have a gallon of Chick-fil-A lemonade in the fridge, and I could have spiked this with that tonight. But, I'm trying to watch how much sugar I consume and all this kind of stuff. I'm trying to be healthier, so I'm around longer to live stream for you guys. So tonight is just water. And, given the cost of a gallon of Chick-fil-A lemonade, I kind of dole it out pretty slowly because the stuff's not cheap. You guys think eggs are expensive. Chick-fil-A lemonade is also not expensive. But you know what? I'm not complaining because it's worth it. It's worth every penny. It is, for me anyway, as far as like I hate to say mass produced, but as far as a mass produced lemonade goes, it's for me, tough to beat. All right. Next up, we have Oscar07. He says, what's going on, Ron? First time running in the live. Welcome. He says, a quick question. Bought a house in Dallas and the grass is full of weeds. Can I use Celsius and then a week later fertilize it? So first of all, congrats on the new home. And yes, if you want to use Celsius to clean up the weeds in your lawn, I'm assuming that if you're looking at Celsius, the weeds that you're primarily looking at or targeting are broadleaf weeds. And yes, you can absolutely apply Celsius, and then a week later, really a day later, you could fertilize if you want to. A common concern people have is that, if I'm out using a herbicide to control the weeds in my lawn, can I still fertilize? If I fertilize, I'm gonna make the weeds grow faster, right? That's a common thing that people think about. But what you gotta realize is that when we are spraying or attacking the weeds with a selective herbicide like Celsius, the weed growing is actually a good thing because that's going to help the herbicide move through the plant. Like the technical term is, it helps it translocate through the plant and then eventually kill it. Now, fertilizer, while it can help like untreated weeds to grow more, that is true, it also helps your grass. So remember, when we look at herbicides like Celsius, like Certainty, like any of the herbicides that we carry on the golf course lawn store, you have to look at herbicides as a tool to allow your lawn to outcompete the weeds. So fertilizer is going to help feed your grass, which coupled with regular mowing is going to help produce a really thick lawn, which is like natural weed control. So to answer your question, yes, you can absolutely apply Celsius, and then a week later, if you want to, you could fertilize it, but really next day you could fertilize if you wanted to. It's not going to really hurt anything. So hope that helps, sir. Again, congrats on the new property. For best results, if you're using Celsius, I highly recommend using surfactant with it. So these two together work better. The surfactant helps the herbicide to stick to the leaf of the plant better. It also helps it to more evenly coat or spread over the leaf of the plant, which is going to help with uptake. It's called a spreader sticker because it helps it stick and it helps it spread. So whenever you're using a herbicide like Celsius, for most herbicides, you can use surfactant, and it does enhance the results. Obviously, be sure to read the label because there are some herbicides where they recommend against it. So something like Velocity PM, like the herbicide that's used for controlling annual bluegrass in cool season lawns, the label specifically says do not use surfactant because it becomes too aggressive then. So hope that works for you, Oscar. Again, congrats on the new property, and keep us posted as far as how the lawn develops. Like always, like I tell everybody, take pictures of how it was, that weed infested mess that you were dealing with, the salad bowl that was you were calling a lawn, and then a month later take another picture and be like, wow, it's really come a long way. I look at it all the time, so it looks the same to me and nothing's changed. But if you take a picture of where you were before and then a picture of where it is even just a month later after a good nutrient program, mowing, fertilization, you can notice some results. So definitely document it, man. Enjoy the process. All right. So guys, a couple of things we have tonight. So you guys remember like a few weeks ago, we had a viewer where he was working on a shed, and I don't have his name. Hopefully he's here in the live stream, but he was building a shed because his wife was saying, hey, this mowing equipment is taking up all of the space in the garage. Obviously the mowers were not going to go. So we had to figure out some way to create a new home for the mower. So a little bit of recap of where we were. So this is what his project started out as, right? And this is where he left us. And I said, you know what, this is really cool. It'd be nice to know how it all worked out. So this is the last picture we saw. We didn't see the mowers in there. We didn't see what the stores look like. So he sent some pictures last week, and I didn't get to them during the show. I actually missed the email during the show. So I wanted to show you guys tonight. So if you guys are looking for, if you have a problem where you got like multiple mowers and it's starting to take up space in the garage, this guy shows you like what you can do. So this is the finished shed, looking pretty good. Nice job painting it. And then the thing that we really care about, right? Like what's on the inside? What's he working with? So he has not one, not two, but 3 lawn mowers. 2 of them are real mowers. So we have to, give plus 10 points for that. He's got a nice hanger there for his Revolution grass catcher. He's got, looks like a rotary mower, looks like a Fiskars, and then the Revolution 26 all tucked away there. And his backpack sprayer on a shelf. Looking really, really good. So thanks so much for sending us the pictures. You got plenty of space in there now because it looks like this one corner. So you got, you got space for tons of other lawn equipment, right? He showed some aeration work that he had been doing. So this time of year where he is in the country, his lawn didn't really fully go dormant. So he's taken the chance, the time to go out and get some core aeration done, which this will be us here soon, guys. If you're in Northeast Georgia, or anywhere in Georgia, really another 4 weeks from now, I like to say like late March, early April, that window for getting that core aeration done will open up. So he's really ahead of the curve. He's got his shed built, got his core aeration done. He's going to be ahead of us as far as dominating his neighborhood. So thanks for sending us the pictures, the updates, and we'll give everyone else some ideas for perhaps some storage and also the importance of core aeration because you're already getting that work done. All right. Next up is Flip Master Finds. He says, what's up, Ron Henry? Happy Friday. Not too much, man. Can't complain. Wanting warmer weather, which we're starting to get that, so I'm just wanting time to progress so we can get out there and get going. Guys, so, on the topic of getting equipment worked on. So here's the thing. I always tell you guys, get your equipment serviced. It's the time of year to get that done and all this kind of stuff. So I am eating my own dog food. I tell you guys this, and I'm also living what I tell you. So today, my Greensmaster 1600 came back. Now here's the thing. Before I get hate, I realize that it does need some paint work. Okay, it's a well battle tested machine, but I sent it out. The nice folks at Jerry Pate were able to get it knocked out for me. They went through and cleaned it up, put a brand new bed knife on it, sharpened it up. Looks like they pressure wash it and everything. So I'll show you. I mean, I can talk, but why not talk when I can show, right? So that's Bay. I mean, look at her. Isn't she beautiful? Look at it. The red's looking really good because, again, they cleaned them up really nicely. You can see there's some areas there where I do need to touch up the paint. That's my plan for it in the off season. But overall, it came back looking as new as it could look. You can see a nice, sharp, fresh edge on that reel, looking nice. And it is ready to take on the lawn this season, right? So really excited. I always tell you guys, get your equipment serviced in the off time. And I just want to show you guys, I'm doing the exact same thing. So my outlet cutting unit is done. The Greensmaster is done. The only thing that's really left is the Revolution. That's going to go to Reel Rollers. The guys there are, I think next week, Lee, those guys will be able to make some time to come grab it and go through and freshen it up. And then I'll be good to go for the season. So if you guys have equipment, whether you have a rotary mower, reel mower, whatever it happens to be, if you got like your string trimmers and everything, now's a great time to get that stuff done. Get your maintenance, your preventative maintenance done. If you got to change an air filter, do that. If you got a rotary mower, now's a great time to put a fresh blade on it. Maybe get some extra blades so you'll have some backups to be able to swap them out as you're getting the other one sharpened. Because, I talk about, like on the show, we spend a lot of time talking about herbicides and fertilizers and biostimulants and this type of thing, right? But if you think about it, if you're following, the spoon feeding program that we talk about on the Golf Course Lawn Store, which is more of a high-end way of taking care of your lawn, really, you're out there twice a month. You're out there on the 1st putting out granular fertilizer and also spraying liquids, and you're out there again on the 15th spraying liquids again. So it seems like a lot, but really you're out there twice a month. Mowing is something that if you're doing it right, at a minimum, if you're serious about having a great lawn, you're doing it twice per week. right? So in a month, that's at least 8 mowing sessions. Most of the people on here are probably guilty of a lot more than that, but at a minimum, we're talking about 8 sessions. So the piece of equipment that you're going to be using the most throughout the course of the month, throughout the course of the growing season, and then frankly has a huge impact on how your lawn looks is your mower. So take this time now. I know it's not, it's not super sexy. It's not as fun as like spraying liquids and putting fertilizer out, but having sharp equipment really sets you up for success as far as creating a lawn that looks incredible. So there, I got off my soapbox. If you haven't gotten your equipment taken care of yet, do that. It's a big part of getting an amazing lawn. All right. Next up is mixed up foods. He says, Ron, you're awesome. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. It's nice. I get called a bunch of other things. It's nice every now and then to know that I'm appreciated. Makes me feel good. Next up is B.D. Bowman coming from Instagram. All right. He says, dead area of Tiff Tuff in Southern California, maybe due to lack of sun exposure or too much moisture. How do I fix it? So it depends on which one of those two it is. So the two things you just said are causes that are symptoms that can cause problems in any type of grass, not just Bermuda. If the area that the grass is thin or dead is shaded or heavily shaded, that's something you just have to fix. Now, if it's a situation where you've got a tree or maybe some shrubs where you can raise the canopy up to where you can get more sunlight on the grass, that is something you can do. If it's a situation where it's like a building, like your house, just the way your house is situated and where the sun passes over it, that area just does not get enough sunlight, Bermuda might not be the correct grass for that area. As a matter of fact, if it's a shade issue, Bermuda would not be the correct grass for that area. Of the warm season grasses, Bermuda, I mean, it's an amazing grass in that, as far as like a grass that's used on sports fields that can just take a lot of abuse and recover from just a lot of wear. Bermuda is amazing in that regard. And if you take care of it, it can look pretty nice. But the one thing you cannot have with Bermuda grass is shade. It's like ice cream and mayonnaise. The two just will never go together. Like all you guys on here have probably had ice cream and mayonnaise together. You know why? Because they just don't go together. Like it's two things that are just very foreign. Bermuda grass and shade are like that. Like they just will not work. Tiff Tuff, Tiff Green, those are cultivars that are more shade tolerant, but I mean, they still need a lot of sunlight. They still need a lot more sunlight than, say, zoysia, or even like say St. Augustine. They just need a lot of sunlight. Like all the sunlight is what you need. So if it's a shade issue, I've already given you some tips as far as how to correct that. If it's a moisture problem, drainage, right? You just got to improve the drainage. So if you have an area, a low spot in the lawn, depending on the kind of soil you have, where whenever it rains, water pools there, you're going to want to do something to correct that. So if you can regrade the area. Something you can do that is less expensive and can make a pretty big difference is if you can consider aerating, like heavily core aerating the area, and then top dressing it with a mix of compost and sand. We've got about 70% sand is what we want to go in that blend. That will help improve drainage quite a bit. So if it's a moisture issue where water is staying on the surface, like introducing a bit of sand into the soil profile will really do a lot for helping helping the soil like really pull water, allow that water really infiltrate into the soil profile. So those are some things you can try. I'm not sure which of the two you're dealing with or both, but hopefully this is helpful for you as far as just tips you can take to help improve the area where your Tiff Tuff is a bit thin / dying. So, anytime you guys go anywhere and you see, it's shade tolerant Bermuda grass seed, or it's like a shade blend. I mean, a lot of times what you'll find is there'll be something else, some other grass seed that's in there with it, right? Because shade tolerant Bermuda, in the way that most people think about shade, is not really a thing. So hopefully that helps. BD Bowman 25, I appreciate you catching the live stream, and hopefully it gives you some tips to get out there and solve this problem. And the answer might be maybe a different grass. You may have to go to zoysia. Zoysia is a bit more shade tolerant than Bermuda. More extreme cases, you may have to go to a fescue, like of grasses that are highly shade tolerant. Like fine fescue is one of the better ones. But then again, it's one of those things where it's a balancing act, right? So if where you are in Southern California, it gets really hot, like fescue can struggle with that. But if it's an area where it's heavily shaded, then it may not be as much of a problem. So you may have to look into a different grass, is what I'm telling you, if you can't really solve the sunlight problem. because that's the one thing that's really non-negotiable. The moisture we can work around, getting the drainage better. We can fix that. But sunlight and Bermuda grass is really that's like a non-starter if you don't have enough sunlight for Bermuda to look its absolute best. All right, next up is AGZ2318. He says, "Hey Ron, love the content. I live in South Florida and have St. Augustine grass. When is the best time to core aerate and fertilize since the temperature has been between the 70s and 80s? Thanks." So here's the thing, AGZ, if given the conditions that you're talking about, if you are actively mowing the lawn, so meaning the St. Augustine is not really dormant, it's not really slowed down to where you're actively mowing it, you can begin feeding it. Like my lawn has already had its first granular fertilization of the season. You're in South Florida. Sounds like your conditions are a lot hotter, a lot warmer than what we have here in Georgia right now. So yeah, I would say without seeing your lawn that you, as far as fertilization, you're good to go. Core aeration, same thing. Really what you want with core aeration is you want the grass to be actively growing. Reason for that is it allows it to recover from the injury that it's going to get from core aeration quite a bit faster. So to answer this question is, have you mowed your lawn in the past week? If so, then that checks both those boxes. You can fertilize and you can core aerate. If you haven't mowed your lawn this season yet, then maybe give it a little bit more time. But I mean, if you've got temps in the 70s and 80s, I'm pretty sure you're probably going to be mowing. So hope that helps, sir. There's there's not, in your case, there's not like you'd have to wait till April or even later into the spring like we might have to here in Georgia, because where you are in Florida, man, you've got plenty of heat, plenty of sunlight. And as long as you're mowing the lawn, meaning it's actively growing, which is the thing I'm really looking for, then you can absolutely get out there and get your aeration done and your fertilization done. What I might tell you as far as a tip is, when you go to start feeding the lawn, like don't get out there and throw a ton of nitrogen at the lawn to start the season out. I'm a fan of kind of easing into it, like giving it. If you can get a fertilizer that has a certain amount of slow release nitrogen in the blend, that would be good for starting the season out. And then as you get into the hotter times of the year, really in your case, it's gonna be like next month in April, then you can move to the fertilizer that you want to use throughout like the primary part of the season. But just kind of starting out the season, kind of ease into it if you want. That's something that I like. I mean, that also helps. With preventing creating conditions where you're not going to run into disease and that kind of thing as we get more moisture and humidity. All right. Hope that helps. Next up is Jimmy Miller. He says, "Happy Friday, Ron. It's been 4 weeks since I sprayed my certainty Celsius per diamond combo. Just starting to see the weeds die. I guess it just needed this heat." Yeah, man. If the temps, depending on where you are, if it's cooler where you are, then it's just going to take longer for the herbicides to work. So I'm glad to hear that you're getting the results. You got your prodiamine out, you got Celsius and certainty out, because I guess you had weeds actively in your lawn, and it sounds like they're doing their thing. So ain't nothing to it but just to be patient, right? Give it time, and it will work for you. So glad that that helped out. All right, next up is Flipmaster Fine. So here's a question. He says, question. I'm in Houston. I still have a little bit of cool weather. Can I mix quinclorac, Celsius, and Dimension, or am I trying to do too much? Also, how can I thicken up my Bermuda? All right, so let me ask the question again. He says, so you're in Houston, you still have some cool weather. Can you mix quinclorac, Celsius, and Dimension? Or are you trying to do too much? And then how can you thicken up your Bermuda grass lawn? Okay, so it depends on the problem you're trying to solve. The Dimension, to me, makes sense for this time of year because you are getting out your spring pre-emergent. Quinclorac and Celsius really only make sense if you are trying to target crabgrass or if you're trying to target broadleaf weeds in your lawn. So if you have both of those, if you already got crabgrass in your lawn, which is, I guess, is possible in Houston, and you also have broadleaf weeds in your lawn, then yes, you can use quinclorac and Celsius to control those. If you don't have those, then I wouldn't do that. So it really depends on the problem you're trying to solve. The only thing that I say is definitely a yes for this time of year: Dimension. Yeah, your pre-emergent, great idea to get that applied. Quinclorac and Celsius depends on if the weeds that those herbicides are labeled to control are actively growing on your lawn, and if they are, then yes, then you would not be doing too much. If you're going to be spraying quinclorac and or Celsius, I'd recommend using a bit of surfactant with it for best results. This really does help improve the results you get with post-emergent herbicides. So great question, Mr. Flipmaster Fines. Sorry that you're dealing with some weeds in your lawn this time of year, but the good news is you get your pre-emergent out, right? So that should make things less bad. And the fact that you're choosing dimension is a good choice, especially if you've had some issues with crabgrass, because if you have some crabgrass in your lawn, some young baby crabgrass, that's just planning to ruin your lawn this season. Dimension, while it is a pre-emergent, also has the ability to control young crabgrass. So it's a great choice given the rest of the question you're asking, right? I'm kind of inferring that you may have some crabgrass issues. So yeah, hopefully that helps, sir. Next up is Dr. YouTube. Dr. YouTube, it's a cool, interesting handle. He says, hey Ron, question on the Primo rates. I have Arden 15. Would that be considered hybrid rate or common rate? So my lawn has Arden 15 in it, Dr. YouTube, and I use the hybrid Bermuda grass rate. I would not go up to the common rate. Yeah, I would stick with the hybrid. Here's what I would say: start with the hybrid rate, which if you're spraying once per month, which I don't really recommend, but if you're doing it once per month, it's between 1/4 ounce per thousand up to 0.38 ounces per thousand. Whereas the common Bermuda rate is like 0.75 ounces, which is a pretty big spread, right? So what you can do is start out with the hybrid Bermuda rate and see what kind of regulation you get. If you find the lawn really isn't slowing down and you want to bump that rate up as a little bit as you go along, you can try that. But I can tell you, I've never sprayed the common Bermuda rate on my lawn at any time, and I get pretty good regulation with it. So the rates that I would tell you is that if you are spraying Primo the way that I would recommend, which is really every 2 weeks. The range that you're going to stick with as far as I'm doing a blend for like 4,000 square feet. So 4 gallons of water in a 4-gallon backpack sprayer covering 4,000 square feet. The range you can use would be between, do I have Primo here? Yeah, would be between 0.50 ounces. So that right there. So half an ounce in 4 gallons of water over 4,000 square feet up to 0.8 ounces, so 0.5, and then come back again with 0.3. That, and if you do that, those rates between 0.5 and 0.8 every 2 weeks, you're spraying Primo at the rate range that corresponds to the monthly rate of 0.25 to 0.38. So that's where I would start. See how the lawn is responding to that. If you think that, in your case, you've got a special blend of Arden 15 where you need more than that, you can try going a little bit heavier, but I have never needed to. So it's really your call as far as what you're going for. So hope that helps. What I started doing last year and really like the results with it is instead of spraying Primo by itself, I've been spraying Primo along with this growth regulator, a new EZ. So this would be at that half an ounce to 0.8 ounces per every 4,000 square feet rate. And then for the a new EZ, half an ounce, so 0.5 ounces per thousand. Or if you're doing, again, the 4-gallon backpack sprayer, you would use 2 ounces of this. So a total of 2 ounces of this, anywhere between 0.5 to 0.8 ounces of this in 4 gallons of water over 4,000 square feet. It is magical. It is magical. It's a beautiful thing. So if you're looking for something to help control regulation a bit more, then I would look into a new EZ versus increasing the rates on Primo, because then you can start running into, if you keep going up and up and up on the rates of Primo, you start getting into the chances of you potentially getting some tip burn. And to help avoid that, just keep the Primo rates, get them to that 0.5, 0.8, and then just introduce a new EZ and you'll be good to go. So I hope that helps, sir. Gives you something else to play with this season. I think you'll be very pleased with the results if you blend those two growth regulators. They play really, really nicely together. And again, I love the results. I love the results I got this past season with it, which is why I'm going to be doing it again this year. Mars Beads is into the chat now. She says, good evening, Ron. All, it's so cool around here. Can't wait for it to warm up. Yeah, man. Well, enjoy it. Enjoy the downtime, because it's going to get cool here soon. Or it's going to get warmer here soon. Then you have to be out there mowing, and you're not going to have a choice, right? Because here's the thing, Mars Bees, you got kind of rep to uphold, right? We've seen where the fescue lawn came from. We saw you go through the renovation. We saw how it was, and now we don't want to have to do like a spot check. We say, hey, we need a picture of the lawn, and then you're not able to produce something that looks up to standard. So enjoy this downtime right now while it's cool, because once it starts, once the grass says mow me, that's the way it's going to be for months and months and months. So enjoy the downtime is what I would tell you. All right, my son is up next. He says, what's up, Ron? Happy Friday. I dug a trench for my irrigation system and now my yard is patchy. How long will it take to regrow? I live in Texas and have Bermuda grass. So it's still a bit early, Mizon. What I'd say is once you get into the hotter time of the year, so like April, May, June, it's not going to take really, shouldn't take that long, but once you get into like April, when we get longer days of more sunlight and more heat, Bermuda is really going to begin growing a lot more aggressively. And then the amount of injury, should recover a lot faster. So it depends on how bad the damage was from the irrigation installation. But I'd be shocked if you're looking at a lot of patchy spots in your lawn come by the end of May. I mean, that would be very surprising. So as long as you are mowing it, you're feeding it, it should recover pretty quickly once we start getting more temperature and sunlight. So good job getting your irrigation done now, because personally, I'm a fan of doing it now, man. But there's folks that like to wait until like the lawn is growing and it's already looking really good and everything. I say, man, get the ugly done while it's ugly, right? I mean, the lawn's you're not doing a whole lot with it right now. Why not just get it, get all that surgery done now, so that when it's finished, when you're done with it, now you can allow the lawn to grow, you can feed it, you can mow it. If you want to top dress and see what areas may need some adjustment to help, get it nice and smooth, you can do all that. All you're doing now is just taking care of the lawn. So yeah, don't worry, it's Bermuda grass. If you told me you had zoysia, I might say, check back with me in 2027, but I mean, if it's Bermuda, once you get heat and longer days, it's going to be just fine. Colin is in the house. What's up, Ron? Hope your Friday has been well. I can't complain. Man. So I just got some Carbon Pro G. Can't wait to try it out. Think it'd be okay to put down insecticide and Carbon Pro G on the same day? I feel like it should be. Yep, no problem at all with that. Actually in my video on what order to apply lawn care products, which I think is from 2023, I'll even link it for you in the chat. I believe that video was done, I want to say it was from March to April, which I believe is right, because that's when I would do my Aceleprint app, my insecticide app. And I literally walked through, I said, yeah, Carbon Pro G, or in my case, it was Essential G, Essential G, the fertilizer. If you're spraying any liquids, do that. And then the last thing, if my memory serves me, would be in the afternoon or evening, you could put out your Aceleprint and then, water it all in. So the idea is that you want to, for the product that needs to be watered in, like your Aceleprint. In other words, for your question, if all you're doing is the biostimulant, the granular biostimulant, and the insecticide, then you could apply the Carbon Pro G and apply Aceleprint right afterwards, and then water it in and you're done. If you are doing a foliar spray, so let's say you were doing the biostimulant, and then you're spraying like the Golf Course Lawn Carbon Kit or our 22-3 fertilizer. What I would do is I would make sure I give that at least a good 4 hours or so to dry. So if you did that in the morning, if you went out and then put out the Aceleprint later in that evening and then watered it in, then that would be okay. Or you could also apply the Aceleprint after you've done all those other products and then water it in the following day. That would also be okay. You only want to hold off on the watering if you're applying a product like that relies on foliar uptake, because you don't want to go out and spray the lawn with a liquid fertilizer and biostimulant and then go run an irrigation right afterwards. So in your case, it sounds like you're going to be good to go, but I'm going to get you this video. Give me 1 second here. I will find it and I will link it in the chat for everyone else to benefit from, because this is a question I was getting so often. I said, you know what, I'm just going to do a real quick short that talks about what order to apply lawn products. Yeah, it's from, when did I do this? I'll tell you, it was from 2023. Let's see here. I'll tell you exactly when. It was from, March 31st. See, it's like I said, because in that video, I remember I was talking about Aceleprint, which would make sense because beginning of April is when I do my insecticide app. So this is the video of which I was speaking. What order to apply products. There you go. So watch that short. It's like a minute of your time, and it'll get you all squared away. But pretty much what I said is exactly it. Pretty much you do granular, foliar, and then anything else after that. And if you have to water it in, either that evening or really the following day, if you can wait. That is what I would recommend. And then you said, find thoughts. No, man, I think you're good to go, Colin. You're good to go, man. You've already got it figured out. But yeah, watch that video really quickly. Again, it's a really short one, and it will get you all squared away. Because again, it's a question that I was getting a lot, and I said, you know what, I'm just gonna make a short on it. So there you go. All right, Off-Road NV is up next. He says, hey Ron, only 40 degrees here in Nevada. Grass is wanting to wake up. LOL. I'm sure Old Man Winter is going to show back up. Happy Friday, everyone. Yeah, man, you probably have a bit more time to really get the season going. But and again, enjoy the downtime, because once it starts up, you're going to be at it. You're going to be at it, right? Okay. Next up is AGZ2318. He has a question about Poa annua. He says, I bought Image for Southern Lawns, but I don't think it's getting rid of Poa. Do you recommend get a post-emergent for Poa annua? Also, can I mix the two together? Thanks. Yeah, so Image, the active ingredient in that is a mazaquin, if I remember correctly. So it does work against Poa annua. It just works slower. So you apply it, you water it in. It's commonly mixed along with pre-emergent, because the two kind of work nicely together, in the sense that you spray them, you both apply your pre-emergent and Image, you water them in, and then you just wait. It is a bit slower to work, but it is effective against Poa. So as far as a post-emergent herbicide that I like more than Image for controlling Poa annua in a warm season lawn, yeah, because you could say that, is Certainty. So Certainty and Surfactant, like this herbicide is what I really like for controlling Poa annua in warm season turf grass. If you're going to use this, you're going to want to go with the higher end of what is recommended for Poa annua. So if you read the label, it's going to tell you to spray Certainty at between 1 1/4 ounces per acre up to 2 ounces per acre. What that really equates to, just in layman speak and basic speak, is with Certainty you have a measuring spoon, right? Let me move more water here. You got a measuring spoon. So you got a small end and a big end. The big end, one of these is the 1.25 ounces per acre rate per the label. And then two of these is the high rate, which is 2 ounces per acre. Why it's not 2.5, I don't know, but that's what the label says. So if you're going to use Certainty, especially if you're dealing with Poa annua that is already flowering, so it's got seed heads, so it's more mature, then you're definitely going to want to go with the 2 ounces per 1,000 square foot rate, along with some surfactant, and that will make pretty quick work of Poa annua. So that will be my recommendation for controlling Poa in a warm season lawn. As far as where you can find it, assuming you already have it, if you go to the golf course lawn store, you go to shop, you go to Weed Killer, you will then go to Certainty. And here you can get it by itself, which I wouldn't recommend. I would really recommend getting the kit, which has Certainty, the surfactant, and then a marker dye. So everything you need to be able to get a great result with this herbicide. All right. So I will link this for you here in the chat. You can go check it out, and hopefully it gets you all squared away as far as getting rid of that Poa annua. Again, to recap again, Image does work. It's just slower. So yeah, hopefully that helps, sir. Next up is Nathaniel Welch. He says, liked. I appreciate that, Nathaniel. Thank you so much for the like. Really does appreciate it. So guys, we got like 110 folks here in the live stream, only 73 likes. Certainly we can do better than that. So if you guys are enjoying the show, or if you're not enjoying the show, please feel free to give a like. It really does help out as far as sending good vibes to YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all the platforms, and sends more folks our way. It's an absolutely free way to support the content. So if you've not hit the like button as yet, please do so. Free way to support the channel. All right, Racine 123 says, I bought KWs for my RS. What number of clicked and rebound and compression do you run? I don't have my RS anymore. So you watched one of my really, really old videos. So I don't even remember off the top of my head. You'd have to look at the videos to know what I had for settings on that. So I'd say just test it, see what feels good for you. Really, if you want to do it right, take it somewhere, get it corner balanced, and then you can adjust the adjustments based on feel and how really based on how you drive the car on a circuit and lap times and that kind of thing. So sorry I'm not more help on you on this one. So really old video. All right, Andrew Phillips is up next. He says, thank God it's Friday. Hello, Ron and all. Got my pre-emergent down March 2nd here in Texas and got a good rain the next day. Typically, I get it down early in February, but selling my house, so that is keeping me busy. Have a good show. selling the house, Andrew. Now, did you have the realtor list, like, listen, like lawn domination already included with the house purchase? Because you really should have that on there. Because when people walk up to the house to go check it out, they'll look at the pictures of, the interior and paint and this kind of stuff. Make sure you list the lawn as well, because you are imparting a gift onto someone else, right? You've already got the lawn like fully manicured, set up for them. All they got to do is keep going where you left off. So that's definitely a selling point. Shouldn't take long for the house to sell. Hopefully you're moving somewhere that has a nice lawn as well, so you can get that project going. And we'll stay tuned for pictures and whatever else you got going on, man. Thanks for coming out to watch the show. Really do appreciate it. All right, next up is Jonathan Daza. He says, "Hey Ron, I'm planning on putting down Carbon Pro G. Do you recommend I put it down the day before a rainstorm or a couple of days before? Also, the same question for Prodiamine and GrubX. I mean, do I recommend putting down a granular biostimulant and your pre-emergent prior to rain? Yes. When you say a rainstorm, what are we talking about? We're talking about like 10 inches of rain, which I kind of doubt. Then no, you might not want to do that. But I mean, if you're talking, an inch, 2 inches of rain, that'd be absolutely fine. So answer your question, yes, I would apply your granular biostimulant. I would apply your pre-emergent, and if you're going to put out grub control that needs to be watered in, I would also put that out prior to the rain coming, because that's just going to help it get into the soil for free versus you having to go out and run irrigation, right? So yes, to answer your question, I would do that. I would do that. Now, depends on how you define rainstorm, Jonathan. If rainstorm is, again, a monsoon, maybe not. But I haven't seen that, in the weather forecast anywhere. So I think you're going to be just fine. You guys, that's one thing, guys. A lot of you guys are really, y'all are all, I don't want to say afraid, but a little bit of rainfall comes, you put out your pre-emergent and it gets more than 2 inches of rain. You guys say, oh no, that's it. There you go. It's not going to work anymore. And you got to realize that's a good thing. You want rain after pre-emergent, after granular fertilizer, after like a granular biostimulant. It needs to get in the soil to work, and the rain is going to help it get down into the soil. So it's a good thing. It is a good thing. I would do it before, personally, if it were me. If you say doing it a couple days before or the day before, doesn't really matter. Either way will work. If you want to put it down a couple days before, that's fine. If you want to put it down the day before, that's also fine. If it were me, I'd probably put it down the day before. That's probably what I would do. But I mean, whatever is more convenient for you. It's not going to make a difference. This is not your success with your insecticide application and with your pre-emergent application does not hinge on whether you applied it the day before rainfall or 2 days before rainfall. Either way is going to work just fine. All right, Demaculus Thompson is in the chat. He says, "Greeting, Rons. Lawn reno anthem was you half of my front lawn, one side of the driveway, picks to come." Cool. All right, I like it. So send pictures whenever you get a chance around to it, and we'll show them off on the live stream. It would be really cool to check those out, man. Would be really, really nice. All right, next up is Andrew Phillips. He's weighing in on the Sunjo. He says, "Stephen Tom Johnson, I've been using a Sunjo for 5 years, and it works great. Eventually, I will get a cartridge for my outlet, but not needed right now. I use the Verticutting cartridge and the Scarify at different times." So there you go. You have someone that actually has a Sunjo. And like I was telling you, there's folks in the academy that have that unit, and they love it. Because frankly, I mean, if you think about it, there's no one that I'm aware of anyway that makes like a standalone just verticutter, right? Like a verticutter with a grass catcher, which, that really be good to bring that to the market for somebody to do that. So like a Sunjo is a good option. I mean, you could go out and buy an outlet, but that's a really expensive way to do it. You have like some of those other mowers. I think the Catalyst has a Verticutting cartridge, I believe. So if so, that's another option. But again, you're just talking more money. But yeah, there's a lot of folks that use that Sunjo, man. As long as you set it up properly, it's gonna be just fine. I mean, put it this way: your grass does not know the difference. It's not like, oh my god, I'm being cut with a Sunjo. I thought I was like in a highbrow area. I'm a special kind of lawn. I need like more bougie equipment to cut me. It doesn't know the difference. As long as it's set up properly, you're gonna get a good result. What I would say is that the one benefit to mowers or to verticutters that have like the one that I have, like the Owlet, or like a Catalyst, or like if you had like a standalone verticutter, which again, I don't know too many that are like that, is that most of them have a catcher for getting all the debris. Whereas if you go out with a Sunjo, you go and you verticut the lawn, and then you have to go out there and get all the debris off, which is another job in itself. So that's really probably the only negative towards going that route, but they're also like a couple $100 versus like, several $1,000s for any of the other options that I'm telling you about. So just, pick your poison. Which how fancy do you want to be, and bring your checkbook is what I would tell you. All right. Next up is Billy Bob. He says, question, is RealWorks gone or did they move? I've seen a few posts for a real shop in Auburn, Georgia area. Morrow. Yeah, it is. I used Morrow. Okay. So I believe RealWorks is closed, but Real Rollers, the folks that brought us the Revolution Real Mower, they are going to have a sharpening service. So, I mean, don't quote me on this. And if Lee, if you're watching, hopefully I get this right, but I believe they're doing obviously the Revolution. They're doing True Cut, Trimmer, and McLean. I believe those are the mowers they're doing, those four. I don't think they're doing greens mowers or Owlets or anything like that at this point. That's what I believe. Again, if that's changed, then you'll call them up and they'll tell them, Ron, I don't know what he's talking about, whatever, we're only doing the Revolution. But from what I understand, they're doing those mowers. So True Cuts, Trimmers, McLean's, and of course the Revolution 26 and 20 inch. So I've been by the shop. They've got like a nice grinder set up in there. I mean, they've got like a whole shed set up to do all the work. So yeah, he's pretty serious about that. So I would look into them. If you've got one of those mowers, you need to get it sharpened, reach out to the folks at Real Rollers and they'll get you scheduled and get you taken care of. All right. Thanks so much, Morrow. And again, Morrow, hopefully they're doing a turf park party this year. I believe Lee said it's going to be in the spring this year. So if you're around, I will more than likely be there. It'd be cool to see everybody. If you guys are in the Northeast Georgia area or can make the drive, it'd be cool to put a name with the faces. All right, next up is Terrence Stamps. He says, good evening, Ron and all. Looking forward to hearing Turf Talk and excited about the spring. Thanks so much, Terrence. You and me both, man. So Terrence sent in his soil test results, and I already gave him some feedback. And his question was, he wanted to know whether he should use the 12024 or use Humic Max. And I told him really either way can work. So I'll show you guys his soil test results. You can tell overall he's in pretty decent shape. His question was, is Humic Max to start or the 12024? And I told him, really based on the soil test results, Humic Max, the 1608, is a better fit to what I'm seeing here in the results. Having said that, if you wanted to start the season out with a 12024, a little bit slower release nitrogen, just to kind of get the things rolling, and then come April timeframe, move to Humic Max to the 1608, that would be fine too. I also told him that, a micronutrient to kind of get those iron levels up a bit would also be a good consideration as well. But overall, soil's in pretty good shape. This fall, he's probably going to want to do a lime application. I mean, he could do one now if he wanted to, but at some point this year, he's going to want to apply lime because you can see where his pH is, that gray bar on the right. It's within the Goldilocks zone, but it's on the lower end of it. So if we can, a lime app at some point this season would be good to help move that up. So again, thanks for sending these results in, Terrence. Again, I already gave you this answer in email, but I said that I would also answer it on the show, and I'm a man of my word. So there you go. All right. Triple Ute Doc says, what do you think about the California trimmer catalyst? Inquiring minds want to know. Ron, what do you think of this mower? Never seen one in person. However, the folks that I have, there's a couple folks at the Academy that have them and they seem to like them. There was a viewer that sent in Spencer. He sent in a picture of his catalyst doing some work. He was doing some scalping with it. So you can see how the lawn looks. That cut looks pretty good to me. He's mid scalp and you can see, man, he's not afraid to get that mower dirty. So I imagine it's okay. Here's the thing, guys. In this day and age, there's really not, I hate to say there's not really a bad reel mower because there really just isn't a bad reel mower, especially the more modern ones, like the newer designs. Really not a bad one. You really can't go wrong. As long as it's key thing, as long as it's sharp and adjusted properly, you're going to get a pretty good result with it. I've never seen one of these mowers in person. I don't know how, I've never even seen like the cartridge system, like how it works as far as how easy it is to change, to pull cartridges in or out, how the system locks in the cartridges to make sure that it's repeatable. So like say you go out and you set your how to cut on the cutting cartridge, right? And you pull it out, you put it back in, you lock everything down. Is it exactly the same, right? I mean, I'm sure they tested that, but those are the kinds of things that I would look at to make sure that the results are repeatable as you swap between cartridges. But I mean, assuming they got that solved, it should be okay. You know what I mean? Again, I've not seen one in person. I can only go based on the feedback I've gotten from Academy members and also like viewers that send in pictures of their mowers, and they seem to really be enjoying them. So I can only imagine that it's fine, right? And if you're in the market for an interchangeable cartridge system mower, it would not be a bad choice. You know, as far as just a non-interchangeable cartridge system mower for under $3,000, in my opinion, and you're looking for something that's brand new, it's really hard to beat the Revolution. It's a really good mower, got a lot going for it. So that would be where I would lean. Outside of that, if you're looking for a cutting only, so you're not looking for an interchangeable cartridge system, if you're not going to get a Revolution, then in my opinion, this is where you need to want to be. You're going to want to go up to one of these bad boys, a Greensmaster, either Greensmaster or a John Deere. These guys, again, I did a video last year talking about different mowers, and these are, in my opinion, the kings of cut. Now, Owlet, in my opinion, has the title of the king of stripes. As far as like my stripe action goes, nothing stripes like my Owlet, mainly just due to the massive weight of the mower. Just it produces incredible stripes. But as far as just cut quality, an 11 blade Greensmaster is a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. So, and imagine John Deere's are the same way. So I would say, you know, if you're looking for an interchangeable cartridge mower, gas powered, really the Catalyst, I guess, is really your only option at this point. If you're looking for only just a mower just to cut with, in that same price range, you know, you're talking about like a prosumer type mower, then the Revolution is where I would go. And then from that, now you're going into the Greens mowers. So that would be how I would work it out. If you want the absolute best quality of cut, you don't really care, money's no object, you don't really just, all you want is the best possible cut, then a Greensmaster or a John Deere's where you want to, is in my opinion, nothing cuts like those mowers. I mean, I've got a Revolution. I got a True Cut. I've got a Revolution. I've got a Owlet and a Greensmaster, and my Greensmaster is not. I mean, between the Revolution and the Greensmaster, there's not a lot in it, but the Greensmaster is better. It is noticeably better. So, really depends on you, man. Depends on what's important to you, and then just decide accordingly. You can't really go wrong with any of them as long as, again, you keep it sharp, keep it well adjusted. You're going to be good to go. You're going to be happy with the results you get. All right. Maybe from Instagram is here saying, hey, it's my first time. Welcome. First time on the live stream. Hopefully we're not going to disappoint you. He says, it's my first time on the lawn reservation, or I guess renovation last year. I planted ryegrass and Kentucky bluegrass. This is going to be my first year mowing. Cool. Very, very cool. That's awesome, man. Well, congratulations on getting the renovation done. What I will tell you is, you know, the thing that was nice about your comment is that you didn't say it's gonna be my first year like doing weed control. It's not gonna be my first year fertilizing. You said it's gonna be my first year mowing. So it warms my heart, because the thing that is most important, that's the thing you're focusing on. So everything else, you know, feeding the lawn, controlling weeds, important, but mowing is what brings it all together. So as long as you can keep your equipment sharp, as far as tips I would tell you, keep your equipment nice and sharp, and then commit to mowing twice per week. So the minimum I'd say, if you really want to have a lawn that stands out, once per week is okay, but really twice per week is what you're going to have to do if you want a lawn where people drive by and they're like, man, how does his grass look like so different to my grass? And the mowing is really what's going to set that apart. So if you can commit to twice per week mowing, then you're really going to enjoy what you get from that. So hopefully that helps. Again, thank you for joining the live stream. And if I can help with anything, don't hesitate to reach out. All right, Andre Taylor is in the chat. He says, evening all, happy Friday. In between soil tests at the beginning and the end of the season, is there a telltale sign when you're either over or under fertilizing the lawn? Under fertilizing, you can see it in like the color of the lawn will go away a little bit. So for Bermuda, if it's not getting enough nitrogen, not getting enough nutrient, whereas you get that nice deep green when the lawn is getting enough, when it's being adequately fed and watered, it will be the green will start getting lighter. It'll get more of a pale color. That would be that'd be a sign that you're under fertilizing it. Over fertilizing, the growth rate of the grass, you start seeing thatch. Like thatch becomes a problem because the grass is now growing faster than like the clippings, and the grass that's in the thatch layer can decompose. So it begins just really just thickening up on a lot at a rate that is abnormal. That can be a sign of over-fertilization. Disease issues, like if you put too much fertilizer I think coupled with moisture, that can create conditions where the lawn is more likely to encounter disease problems. So yeah, I mean, what I tell folks is that if you are for Bermuda grass, for most grasses, around half a pound to 7/10 of a pound of nitrogen per month does really well if you are also incorporating a biostimulant program, meaning you're doing additives to the soil and also to the foliar sprays you're doing to help the nutrient you're putting into the plant to work better. So you're able to apply less fertilizer, but still get a really good result. That is what I recommend, and that's why the rates that you see for the fertilizer or granular fertilizers on the golf course lawn store, and also the rates for the liquid fertilizers really will have you around that 7/10 of a pound of N every month. And I've done that for a number of years. Folks all over the country do that, and they get a really good result with that, assuming you're also doing the biostimulants. There are some grasses that don't require a ton of fertilization that you can actually create problems, like centipede. You don't need to fertilize centipede very much, so you could back that down quite a bit. Zoysia, if you over fertilize zoysia, it will thatch pretty badly. So that's another sign. But really, again, if you keep the nutrient input between around that 7/10 of a pound of nitrogen while the grass is actively growing, that's going to be a pretty good. That's a good happy spot to where you're not doing too much to where you're pushing excessive growth. You can start having thatch problems. You're creating conditions where disease can be more of an issue, but then the grass is still going to be healthy, still going to look good, and that's what's worked really well for me and then countless of others. So hope that helps, Andre. Give you some things to look at, and hopefully you don't have to deal with either of them. Hopefully you're not going to be under fertilizing and not over fertilizing. So just keep it in that nice happy medium. Your grass is like everything else, like most other living things. It needs what it needs. Too little, not good. Too much, not good. To keep it in that Goldilocks zone. All right, Andrew Phillips is up next. He says, having a tough time finding someone to put a professional edge on my Allet, so been doing backlapping for the past 3 years. But I would like to have it professionally sharpened one day. Yeah, man. I mean, I'm sorry to hear that, Andrew. I'm surprised there's no one in your area that can sharpen that or wants to do it. I might reach out to Allet. I know on Instagram I think it's Allet Mowers. If you look up, it's their logo is like a black logo. It says Allet. Like, contact them on Instagram. They're pretty responsive and say, hey, listen, I got Mower. I've been really enjoying it. Want to get this professionally sharpened. I think you're in Texas somewhere, right? So if I'm in this area of Texas or whatever, is there anyone you could recommend? Because they should be able to, point you in the right direction of someone that can get that unit taken care of. So yeah, I mean, I would do that, because 3 years without a grind, I mean, I guess you could do that, but it to your point, it would probably benefit from a good professional sharpening. Put a nice fresh edge on the reel and on the bed knife. All right, Tom Hoffenkamp is up next. He says, happy Friday, y'all. Best wishes for convenient service appointment scheduling. Soil test is in, all as well, but the pH is getting low at 6.1. Should I be liming it up a bit, Ron? You can. If you're going to do that, Tom, what I would say is, you can go towards a lighter application rate. So whenever I'm making a pH adjustment with lime, anywhere between 20 to 40 pounds per thousand is where I like to have it. Given that you're kind of on the bubble and you're just trying to give it a little bit of a bump, 20 pounds per thousand is probably going to be just fine. I'm not sure what soil test you use, depending on where your soil likes to be, like where the buffer pH is for your particular soil. That will also influence how much lime it needs. But I would start out with like a relatively light application. So 20 pounds per thousand, and then test again. I mean, if you want to, like late summer, and see where it is. Of the limes, look at your soil test results, and if your magnesium is low, then you'll want to go for a dolomitic lime, because that tends to have a higher percentage of magnesium in it. If your magnesium levels are fine, you can go with a calcitic lime. So either one of those will work well for you. Great question, sir. I like that you get your soil test done, and I like that you're asking these questions about making pH adjustments, because that is people focus on your micronutrients, on your nitrogen, your phosphorus, your potassium. While those are really important, they are important. Like, pH has a huge effect on nutrient availability, meaning you can go out there and put out like an iron application, or like a great micronutrient fertilizer. And let's say your soil is very on the alkaline side, right? So it's more, pH is 7.2 or higher. That's going to negatively affect your grass's ability to be able to use that granular, that micronutrient that you're putting into the soil. So it's really important to know your soil pH. Soil testing will tell you that. And it's, again, these are like $35, some of the best investments you can make as far as making sure that the fertilizer that you are applying is working to the best of your abilities. So good job, Tom. If it were me, I might, a light app and just to kind of bump things up a bit, and you'd be good to go. Again, test again late summer and see where you are. All right, next up is CGX5 for life. It says, "What's up, Ron? How you be? Man, I'm hanging in there, man. You know how it is." It says, "Got my soil test results back, and my sulfur is way high, and my phosphorus and micros are extremely low. Where do I start?" Okay, so for your sulfur, not a ton you can do. I mean, you're just gonna want to avoid products that are going to increase the sulfur levels. If you're in Texas, like a lot of soil tests I look at from like San Antonio, from just Texas in general, you'll find that calcium tends to be high and sulfur will be high. So I'm not sure where in the country you are, but that might be a thing. And if that's you, don't worry about it. As far as your phosphorus, you can apply like a triple superphosphate if all you care about is your phosphorus. If your nitrogen and potassium also need a boost in addition to phosphorus, what I would point you towards is, if you go to the golf course lawn store, you go to shop and then lawn fertilizer, I would put you in this. This has nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, has all of your macros and some micronutrient as well. So if you're looking for a fertilizer that has a bit of everything, hence the name Complete, this would be a good choice. Without actually seeing your soil test results, it's difficult to give like more detailed recommendations than that. But pretty much you're going to want to avoid products that are going to materially increase sulfur levels, which again, really, I really wouldn't worry about it too much, but I wouldn't go out and put out like a product that's going to just increase those levels. And then for a fertilizer, you're going to want a product that has phosphorus in it. So what I just showed you, and I would try a link for you here in the chat, is a good option. You can look into other options as well, but this is what I would put you in if you're looking for something that has your nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and also some micronutrient. Now, along with this, if you're telling me that all of your micros are low, with this fertilizer, you could also stack, you could use this for the granular input, and then you could use our micronutrient, which is this guy right here, which has everything, right? It's got your iron, zinc, boron, copper, molybdenum. It's got all the micronutrients. So if all your micros are low, this will help address that. So you could use this along with the Complete 14-7-14, and then over time, that's going to help correct those levels. So I will, again, I'll put this in the chat for you as well, and you'll be good to go. You'll have everything you need to get your lawn on the right track, sir. On the right track. All right. But first of all, good job also getting your soil test done. I mean, I also want to make sure I compliment that, because a lot of folks don't do it. It's a really important thing to do as far as getting the most out of your lawn this growing season. So good that you did that. Let me see here. This is a sidebar for Andrew. Let's see here. So Brian Greer's up next. He says, "I have a California trimmer, so I am stuck with a separate tool for verticutting. I have to do something this year because my tip weight 419 did the floating on top of Bermuda last year." I know. It's not a good thing, because literally you get into like May, June, you're like, man, the lawn's looking so awesome, and you start cutting, you like start scalping, you're like, what the Hades? What is going on? You know what I mean? So you can correct it a couple ways, Brad. You could scalp it, kind of an ugly way to go about it, or you could use a Sunjo. And I'm sure Andrew will reply. He'll let you know like how he had it set up and whatnot. And yeah, a verticut throughout the season. Again, for me, at a minimum, May to June, June to July, July to August. So 3 times in the year is what I would say. And then if you want to get it out even a bit earlier, if you want to start earlier, there's nothing really wrong with that either. The big thing is you just don't want to be too aggressive with it, right? The idea is that you want to gently thin out the lawn without unnecessarily stressing the grass. And the way you do that is set up the verticutter to where it's set up just above the surface of the soil, right? Don't switch the verticutter up as if you're doing slit seeding, is what I'm trying to get you to understand. All right. All right, Mel Allen is up next. He say, "Wagwan, Ron. Hope all is well." Saw that one of my questions ended up in a short. Thumbs up. Yeah, man. You got to ask a question, it can end up in a short. You never know. You never know, right? Because believe it or not, guys, there's not everybody that are like you guys that enjoy, several hours of turf talk. Some folks just have a specific question and they want a specific answer and they want it done like just the answer to the question. So that's why for the questions that I have where I do a half decent job answering, I'll say, you know what, I'm gonna make a note of that one, and then I'll just turn it into a short, and then other folks can benefit from your questions, right? So it helps everybody out. Lance F is up next. He says, "Ron, happy Friday. How often should you run a turf rake on your reel mower, or is it not necessary if you verticut often? Thanks." Okay, so you can turf rake more frequently than you can verticut. You could turf rake a couple times per month. Really, verticutting once per month is all I would really do. Given the two, in other words, if you have a choice between only doing turf raking or verticutting, verticutting is what I would put you towards for a Bermuda lawn. Again, I do turf raking mainly also because for the aesthetic purposes, right? So if you guys look at my lawn during like May, which I think it looks its absolute best, when you go out and you run that turf rake, you verticut the lawn, but then you just run that turf rake on it, man, the stripes are just insane because it's almost like a comb. It's like a rake, right? It's just gently like combing the grass all in one direction, and the way the stripes look are insane. And while I say this, if you want to see it for yourself, I have a live stream from a couple years back where I verticut the lawn, then I turf rake the lawn, and then I mow the lawn. You can literally see how it changes. It's like 3 hours, so you may not want to watch the whole thing right now. But if you are interested in saying, what kind of difference does verticutting make? And you can see that because I do the verticutting, then I take the camera out and I show you how the lawn looks. And then I say, what kind of difference on top after verticutting can turf raking make? And I'll go out and I turf rake the lawn, I take the camera around and show you guys. You're like, wow, that looks that much better. And then, so after you do all this work, what happens after I mow after verticutting and turf raking? And I mow the lawn and I show you that, and you're like, wow, this looks incredible. And the nice thing is the lawn doesn't look like it was been beaten up to within an inch of its life. So if you want an idea of, in my opinion, how the lawn should look after you're done verticutting, after you're done turf raking, this video is a pretty good example of that, because in this I talk about like how I set the outlet up and just I cover all that, and you can actually see it done live. Because again, it's like how long is this video? It's right at 3 hours. It was a live stream a couple years ago. And I think you get some value out of it, Lance. So I will put that in the chat for you now. So we'll call it verticutting and turf raking and mowing, AKA Ron has way too much time on his hands on a Saturday live stream. All right. So yeah, watch that and you'll get an idea of how the lawn changes as you do each one of them. All right. Okay, next we have Timothy Gonzalez. Timothy Gonzalez is in the live stream. He's under the chat, and he has a question. He says, "Hey, Ron, I reel mow twice per week. I spoon feed. I use PGR. I have a few spots that I need to fill in, basically bare dirt. Can I still use PGR in those areas or near those areas? Not sure if it will slow down the spread." Not really. It's not going to really slow down the spread too much, Timothy. The thing you have to keep in mind is this, right? The thing that's going to help a Bermuda lawn fill in bare spots faster is what you're doing. The first thing you said, which is mowing it. So the more you reel mow the lawn, the shorter you keep it, you're going to encourage the lawn to creep, right? To do what Bermuda does best, which is to spread laterally. So mowing is going to have a really big impact on that. Yes, you can use growth regulator. It should make a huge difference as far as how quickly that area fills in, as long as you keep up with your regular mowing. I wouldn't spray growth regulator on the bare spots because it really is not going to do anything there. It needs to have active leaf, like actual leaf for it to work, assuming you're using Primo. But yeah, the big thing is the first point that you asked, which is mowing. That's the thing that's really going to encourage the Bermuda to really spread and fill in those areas. And this time of year, it's going to be a bit slower growing, but once you get into the hotter times of the year, really whenever you get to the time of the year where nighttime temps are in the 60s, that's when Bermuda is really going to light off and just start growing like crazy. So we're not there yet, but it's really whenever nighttime temps are warmer, like the low is in the 60s. That's when you're really going to see Bermuda take off, which like Mayish time frame for you. All right. So thanks for the question, Timothy. Hopefully that helps. And hopefully those bare spots fill in well for you. You know, Tim, the question I kind of have is, why do you have the bare spots? Was it like damage, or have they always been bare spots? It'd be kind of interesting to know why that's a problem. Why that's a problem in the lawn. You didn't answer that as part of your question, or you didn't put that in there, because I know you've been. I'm not sure how long you've been remowing, but I know you've been someone that's been into your lawn for a number of years. So I remember seeing you in previous live streams. So I'm kind of curious why you have areas that are bare, that are like bare dirt. If it's a shade problem, which is most commonly with Bermuda, then it's gonna take a lot longer. So it'd be interesting to know why. Like, why do you have, like, what's the reasoning behind the areas where the lawn is thinner or bare? So if you can comment, that'd be cool. But if not, that's fine too. But something just for you to think about. Like, why is this area not doing as well? All right, Daniel Thomas Enriquez has entered the chat. His question is, how long after leveling my lawn should I overseed Bermuda lawn? You wouldn't. You shouldn't. What I'd say is, for your Bermuda, unless you are doing like leveling in the fall and you're planning to do a ryegrass overseed, so you're trying to get the lawn to stay green during the winter months, in that case, I could see perhaps doing grass seed after a top dress. But really, for the general rule is, for warm season grasses, you don't overseed Bermuda with Bermuda. You don't need to overseed warm season grasses. They're not like cool season grass, right? If you think about a grass like ryegrass or fescue, where they are more bunching type grasses, right? Meaning that they don't really spread like how Bermudas do, or Bermuda zoysia can, via rhizomes and stolons, right? They pretty much just rely on tillers and they kind of grow in bunches, right? The grasses like that, if you have a damaged part of the lawn, whether it's like from winter kill or wear or anything like that, like using grass seed to help recover those areas is an actual strategy. That is what you do. But for Bermuda grass or zoysia grass, like those grasses, again, they have the ability to grow up, they have the ability to grow under the ground, they have the ability to grow up, to spread laterally above the ground. So really, as long as they are getting enough heat, sunlight, a good nutrient program, and regular mowing, they are going to spread, they are going to fill in. Like, overseeding is not a good way to do that, especially because if you have a Bermuda lawn, more than likely what you have is hybrid Bermuda, and there's not really hybrid Bermuda grass seed. So what you're going to end up with is like an improved common Bermuda, which can look really nice, but common Bermuda, even though the improved commons, the leaf blade tends to be a bit thicker. The growth rate is a little bit different to hybrid, and the color, there are some darker green improved commons, but in general, the color of improved common Bermuda tends to be a lighter color than like a Tahoma 31 or even Tifway 419 or Celebration. Like, those tend to be darker grasses. So if you go out and overseed Bermuda with one of those, with a common, an improved common, one, you can't really get rid of it because there's not really a selective way, not yet anyway, if there ever will be, there's not really a selective way of removing common Bermuda out of hybrid Bermuda. So if you get with that and you hate the way it looks, your options are renovation or use like a combination of growth regulators to try and hide it. So the long and short of it is, I wouldn't do that. It's a long answer to a relatively short question. You don't really overseed Bermuda grass. There's no need to really do that. So yeah, just so level your lawn, water it, wait for it to grow through, and enjoy it. Again, the only time where I could see you doing any kind of overseed is if you were top dressing in the fall and you are going to overseed with ryegrass because you're trying to get your lawn to stay green throughout the fall and winter. But outside of that, no need to overseed Bermuda grass. All right, Daniel. Good question, sir. Hopefully that helps helps get things going for you. And as far as timing, you didn't ask the time of when to do it, but really, whenever as long as your grass is actively growing, you're mowing it regularly, that's a great time to top dress. Here in Georgia, you could do it as early as mid-April. Most people are better served by waiting till like May timeframe to do their lawn leveling project. But again, it really depends on where in the country you are and how the grass is growing in your area. All right, Rocky Road Warrior says, how do I decrease shade due to the shadow of my house? Chop off a bit? You don't really. So in your case, you're looking at a different grass type. You have a couple options. You can do a different grass. You can just live with the fact that that area is always going to be thin, or you could get rid of grass there altogether and do like, I don't know, like some shrubs or hardscape or something else there other than Bermuda grass. But if it's due to your home, you are just not a whole lot you can do about that. Like there's around here, you'll see it in subdivisions sometimes. Like you have the townhomes that are pretty close together, and they'll have like, I don't know, like maybe 20 feet between the houses, like not that much space. So it's really just like this slit of you got a house here, and a slit of Bermuda grass. Man, it never fails unless the homes happen to be oriented in such a way that the sun passes right over it, like it rises right in line with it and passes over that section. Those like the areas in between like townhomes that are right together or homes that are close together is pretty much always thin. So if that's you, again, you can go to a different grass type, you can live with it, or you can just you can do something other than grass in that area. I wouldn't recommend chopping off part of your house. Wife, girlfriend, significant other, friends, when they come over, they're going to think you're kind of weird. I mean, we would understand it. Like everyone here would understand what you're trying to accomplish. Everyone else, to include your HOA, would probably, you know, have something to say about that. So you go with one of the other options that I would tell you. All right, Jonathan Daza is up next. He says, what is your remedy to get rid of ground moles/gophers? I cannot find a way to get rid of them, and they are destroying my yard. So a couple things that I found, Jonathan, is you can decrease their food source. That is one way of making your lawn less appealing. So if you can use insecticides like acetyloprin to reduce the amount of grub that are in your lawn, that's going to make it less appealing to moles. Now, let's say you've already got moles in your lawn, which is what it sounds like. The best way, I don't think I've got one here, they're all in the garage right now, is to use traps. Like a trap, like the scissors traps. Those make pretty quick work of getting rid of moles. Like if you find an active tunnel that they're using, normally within 48 hours, you're going to get it. So I've got a video here. If anyone here is like from PETA and you really love moles, avert your eyes. You're not going to like what you're about to see here, but you know what? He picked the wrong lawn. So if you want to see the effectiveness of these traps in this video, actually, can I show you guys this live? I might be able to. If not, I will just link it and you can take a look. Yeah, I think this will work. I think it'll play again. All right. So if you look in my lawn here, look at the far, like at 9 o'clock, you see right here where it goes click. So again, look again, you'll see right there, the trap near the sidewalk. Pop, gets him, right? So those traps are really, that's going to be your best bet for quickly getting rid of an active mole in your lawn. That's what I recommend. I've done the water, like flushing them out with water, and that can work too if you catch the mole in the act. Like if it's right there, you can actually see it burrowing, and you get there with a hose, you can flood it. You know, I've gotten lucky where I've gotten one to come to the surface that way and gotten rid of it. Most cases, though, they will just burrow or kind of cut off to the side and they don't come out. So traps really are going to be your best bet. And again, really, once you find, and the hardest part is determining whether or not you have an active tunnel that they're using. Once you've got that, normally within 48 hours, you're going to get it. So this is what I would recommend, Jonathan. These are, let's see, at Jonathan Daza. Actually, I'll do it here so everyone else is on the other platforms can see. So mole traps. These guys right here will do the job. They'll do the business. That's what I would recommend for active mole problems in your lawn. All right. All right. Next up is, let's see here. Hardest part is always finding out where I left off. You're very welcome. Flipmaster Finds. Emmanuel Jacobs is up next. He says, evening, Ron. I just emailed you my soil test results. Apologies for not sending it earlier. I was wondering if you could look it over for me and give me your recommendations. I will try and look here really quick and see if I see it. Emmanuel, which one is you? Emmanuel Jacobs. So yes, I'll give this, man, you sent me a PDF. Ugh. Why do you make my life? Why do you hate me so? Why do you send me a PDF, guys? So I'll do this one. The other ones I will answer after the show because now I've got to take this and turn it into a JPEG so I can get it on the stream. All right, so let's see if this will work. So Emmanuel, I think this is your, your soil test results. I mean, there's some good news here though. So let's let me see, E. Jacobs soil test. All right, so the good news is only up from here. All right, that's the good news. So if you look at your the results you sent, the one thing that's very encouraging, the very first thing I always look at when I look at soil test results is that gray bar on the right side, which is your pH. That is in a great spot, so very happy about that. Meaning all the rest of this stuff we can fix relatively quickly, but pH tends to take a bit longer. So what you're going to want to use is a complete fertilizer. So a fertilizer with nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. So all three, and also a micronutrient. So like I said, it's really only up from here for based on what I'm seeing. But again, your pH is in great shape. So what I would point you towards is if we go to this is part of it right here. We go towards the golf course lawn store. If you go to shop and then lawn fertilizer, so you go here and here. For granular, this is what I would put you in. It's got nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium in it, and it also has some micronutrient. Given that all your micros are low, you would also benefit from a complete micronutrient fertilizer. So this guy is what I would say. So the 14-7-14 and this micronutrient, those two are what I would use on your lawn. So given where you are, I'd go with a rate of 4 pounds per 1,000 for the granular, and then just 6 ounces per 1,000 for the liquid micronutrient, and just run that this season. That's gonna be a great fit for your lawn. So I'll put those in the chat here for you, Emmanuel. That'll get you all squared away. Again, sorry you are you're dealing with that, but we can solve it, right? We can improve the situation. So this is the micronutrient, and then this is the fertilizer. Yeah, man. So the soil looks like you haven't been fertilizing at all. But again, the good thing is your pH looks really good. So I wouldn't worry too much. Again, it's only going to get better from here, right? So again, thanks for sending the soil test results. And if you have any other questions about that, feel free to reach out to me. But those two products I just linked to you will get you squared away. All right, next up we got C. Brown Masonry. He says, hey, Ron, I'm starting to see my front and back lawn starting to green up pretty fast. I'm excited. I put down Essential G and the 12-0-24. I like it. Man. Sounds like you're on your way, sir. Adam Starks is in the live stream. He says, hey, Ron and lawn crew, just put down 1 pallet of new Bermuda sod to fix one area today. Can I core aerate and top dress the new sod when I do the existing sod in late April, early May? Okay, so here's the thing, Adam. The top dressing, I'm good with that. The core aeration is the thing I'm concerned about, because if they just put down a pallet of brand new sod, we're in like the first week of March, man, it might not be fully rooted in by the end of April. I mean, it'd probably be close. I mean, if you can wait till May, June, I'd feel better about core aerating and top dressing then. If all you want to do is top dress, then yeah, the end of April, May timeframe, that's going to be okay. I really wouldn't be too concerned about that. It's the core aeration that I'm worried about, because you put that heavy piece of equipment on relatively new sod. If it's not rooted in, like, you very well run the risk of, like, as the tines are running over the surface, you could pull the sod up, and I really don't want to do that, given that you just spend all this time and money putting in new sod. So if you can wait till May, June, I'd feel better about it. Or if you can just yeah, I would just wait till May, June. I really would, because really you can top dress by itself, but that's not really as good as core aerating before you top dress. So if you can just wait and do the core aeration and top dress in May, end of May, early June timeframe, that would be ideal. Or if you're just a glutton for punishment, you could do a light top dress the end of next month, like you're saying, and then come back, 6 weeks later, core aerate and top dress again if you wanted to. But I'd want to keep a core aerator off brand new sod, because you don't want to go, ripping it up. So hope that helps, sir. Good question. Congrats on fixing, I guess, whatever damage you had in your lawn that the sod is fixing. But we don't want to go out and undo all that work by running a core aerator on it. I wouldn't do that just yet. I think a month is a bit soon. 6 weeks is a bit soon. All right, Dustin Roberts is up next. He says, how can I keep weeds out of my clients' lawns and not kill the grass? This is a great question, Dustin. So the best way or the lowest effort way to keep weeds or to reduce the amount of weeds you have in a lawn is using a specialized herbicide called pre-emergent. Pre-emergent, when applied at the correct time of year, like now, is going to interrupt the ability for weeds to germinate. So what happens is whenever the weeds begin to grow, the first thing they do is they throw roots, and as they begin to throw roots, the pre-emergent interrupts the ability of the pretty much it interrupts the cell division that causes the plant the new weed to grow roots. And if no roots, then the weed dies. So that's in a nutshell how they work. That's a low effort way, a less expensive way of keeping weeds out of a lawn. So as far as pre-emergent goes, if you go to the golf course lawn store, if you go to shop and then weed killer, and you go to our carefully curated pre-emergent section, you can have a choice between liquid products, which again, if you're spraying lawns, prodiamine in liquid form, this will cover several acres, again, 174,000 square feet. If you're doing Bermuda grass, if you're doing cool season grass, even more. So this is probably your best bang for the buck if you're spraying a lot of lawns. If you want something that's easier but less cost effective, then you could go with the granular pre-emergent. So you got prodiamine in granular form. You also have dimension, which is another type of pre-emergent, and also available in granular form. For a fall pre-emergent, although some people use it this time of year, but I'm more of a fan of using it in the fall. Spectacle Flow, like of all these, like the best of the bunch by far is Spectacle Flow, as the price reflects, right? This, as far as the length of time that it works, is longer than any of these. And as far as the ability to control, in particular, a type of weed that is that we fight quite a bit in warm season lawns in the fall and early springtime, called Poa annua, annual bluegrass. This is, I mean, in my opinion, this is as good as you can get really for keeping Poa out of a warm season lawn. But this is for warm season grass only. So only for Bermuda zoysia, St. Augustine, centipede lawns. It's really only for warm season turf grass. Whereas these guys can be used on warm and cool season grass. So it really depends on what kind of grass you're going for. Now, a big part of doing the heavy lifting for keeping weeds away, pre-emergent is gonna help with that. Your clients also have to do their part. So you can get out there, you can put out pre-emergent, you can fertilize the lawn, but really remember pre-emergent and even post-emergent herbicides, which are herbicides that are designed to kill weeds that are in your lawn now, are designed to allow the grass, like the grass is actually in your client's lawn, to become the dominant plant so that it becomes more difficult for the weeds to establish. So you can put out pre-emergent, you can even use post-emergent herbicides. If your customers, if they never mow their lawns, they are going to have more weeds in their lawns versus someone that does pre-emergent and regularly mows their lawn. So they do have a part to play in this if they really want their lawn to be weed free. But if you want to do your part, meaning, hey, I'm doing my part to try and help you out as much as I can, pre-emergent is the ticket to doing that. So I'll link this here in the chat for you. You can take a look. Again, any of the ones that I listed there are good options if you have warm season turf grass. If you got cool season lawns, the one you're going to want to avoid is Spectacle Flow. That is not for cool season turf grass. All right. And then in the descriptions for those in the how to use section, we cover the application rates that are pretty much just taken from the label. Some of them also have short videos that show different ways of mixing and using the products. So you can go through all that. And of course, if you have any questions, if you get it, you can reach out to us and we'll do our best to help you out. But yeah, pre-emergent when applied at the correct rates is going to prevent weeds and not kill the grass. Post-emergent herbicides, which, so, if you got a client that's got tons of weeds in their lawn, right? So we have a couple of kits. You got like a warm season herbicide kit, which contains Celsius Certainty. So this is for broadleaf weeds. This is for sedges and some of your grassy weeds like Poa annua. And this is surfactant and dye, which helps both of these herbicides to work better. So this is for warm season turf grass. If you have a specialty situation where a person has a zoysia or St. Augustine lawn and they got Bermuda grass in it, then this kit will take care of that. So this is particularly for getting rid of Bermuda grass out of zoysia, St. Augustine, and I think also kikuyu grass, but really not many people have those kikuyu grass lawns unless you're in California. So that's why we only say zoysia and St. Augustine. And then if you got cool season lawns, Then you have this kit, which has tenacity, sedgehammer, and surfactant. So the reason why we chose these, now there are other herbicides you can use outside of the ones that are in these kits for controlling weeds. The reason why those in particular are chosen for the kits is because they can be used over a broad temperature range. So you can use like a 3-way, like something that has 2,4-D in it. And they tend to be a little bit less expensive, and they are fairly effective at controlling weeds. They're not as good as Celsius. But the thing is with those herbicides is that you do have temperature restrictions, meaning once you get above, in the 80s, you got to be careful because you will get some discoloration. Whereas Celsius is, as far as being a gentle herbicide on warm season turf grass, Celsius is really, really it. Like if I only have one post-emergent herbicide, this would be it. It would be Celsius. And if I could only have one other one after this one, it would be Certainty. Like these two do a lot of heavy lifting as far as keeping or getting rid of weeds in a lawn. And again, you can use them over a broad temperature range, which is why we like them and put them in the kits. Tenacity for cool season lawns and Sedgehammer for cool season lawn, also same thing. No real label temperature restrictions. As long as you are correct with the rates, you're going to be just fine. So hope that helps. To answer your question, pre-emergent is how you keep the weeds out of the lawns. The time to do that is now. And then if you have weeds actively in the lawns, you can use one of those kits, the post-emergent herbicides in those kits to take care of said weeds. But then in many ways, you've done your part, right? You've done your part. You've done what you can do. Your customers or whose lawns you're working on, they have to do their part, which is mowing. They got to mow their grass. You got to cut your grass because that is like natural weed control, So hope that helps. Dustin, I sent you a link there in the chat where you can find all this stuff. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. All right, next up is, let's see here. Let's see, we have Flipmaster Finds. He says, last question is, let's go dimension 0.21007, a good choice. It's a decent, if you're looking for a pre-emergent, yep, that should work fine. That would be just fine for a pre-emergent. Next up is Adam Starks. He says, hey, I'm back with one more question. I have some dead patches of crabgrass in my lawn from last year. What's the best way to get the Bermuda to grow in those dead spots where the old crabgrass was? Just time. Give it time. It's still relatively early in the season, Adam. What I would tell you is when it gets hotter, the days get longer, meaning we're getting more sunlight, more daylight, Bermuda will begin to spread and it will fill in those bare areas. If you're talking about really big, like if you're talking about large spots, something you can do to help accelerate that is you can plug it. So you can take plugs, you can transfer plugs from parts of your lawn that are doing very well into these bare areas where the crabgrass was. And now instead of, the Bermuda grass kind of growing from the outside in to fill in the bare spot, now you've got like a plug there in the middle that's also growing out, and you also have grass that's growing in. So it's going to fill in a bit faster. But I'd really only do that if you're talking about really big, large areas. For the most part, if it's just small little patches here and there, once it gets hotter, it's going to fill in just fine. So I wouldn't sweat it. But plugging is a faster way to get that, bare spots to fill in. So it's really, really up to you. Only based on what you're seeing in your lawn, which way you're going to want to go. All right, C. Brown Masonry says, hey, Ron, I'm looking for a Scarifying for my Catalyst 25 that I could go pick up without waiting on shipping. Memphis, Tennessee. I don't know, man. I'm not going to be any help for you on that one. I would ask, I guess, the manufacturer and see. I mean, I don't know if they only offer their cartridges via mail order, or if there's anyone that stocks them, but I don't know on that one. Don't know on that one. We got Lee Son in the live stream. Lee's like, my guy. What's going on, Lee? Hope you're doing all right, man. Lee is one of my buddies from karate. He also in the past year got a new lawn. He's fresh sod, so this year he's got a lot planned for it. He's going to be top dressing it, all that kind of fun stuff. So it'll be cool. Here's the thing. I haven't gotten him to pick up a reel mower yet. Now here's the thing. If you tell this man to go spend money on fishing poles or on a boat, I mean, he has more enough equipment on that boat to be able to launch a shuttle, to launch a rocket. But I haven't got him to come over to the reel mower tribe as yet, guys. I'm trying to work on him, but in time, we shall see. We shall see. He's still committed at least to top dressing it and to mowing it regularly. So that's something. But eventually, I'm going to try and be a good influence and get him to get a reel mower. Maybe in time. BizBot Solution says, how are you doing? Okay. I am all right. Thanks so much. Julius Elliott says, any word on the polos as yet? Yeah, so here's the problem. I did look into that. I'm about to find a different manufacturer because the ones that I have, like these are Nike shirts, and the place that makes these for me, from what I understand, is there's not, even if I do like a volume, a bunch of them, they don't, at least what they're telling me, is that the price of these particular polos is controlled by the manufacturer. So I'd have to get, like, I have to go to a different shirt brand to be able to make these at a price that actually makes sense. Unless you guys want to pay like $65 for a polo, $65, $70 for a polo, I'm gonna have to find a different one. So it'll look similar to this, but it will not have, you know, if you care about the Nike logo, it won't have that on it, because I think it'd be kind of cost prohibitive. Most of you guys are not, again, you're not gonna probably want to spend that much. So I am looking into it. I already have asked, and I'm gonna have to find a different brand other than the God of Victory, because they are proud of their attire, right? Okay, Otis is up next. He says, hey Ron, I just swing by to say what's up. Wow, I thought I was the only one that knew about the RS. No, man, that's like old school. Someone's been watching the channel for a long time. Yeah, dude, the RS, that, you know, I kind of miss that car. It's the only car I've ever owned where it genuinely felt like the car was trying to kill me when like the turbo lit off. Like when you got, like it was making right at 600 brake horsepower, which in a car that size, all-wheel drive, it was a thing of beauty, but it's also kind of scary. Like people that own Viper say the same thing. If you own a Viper, they say that you get in the car, you put your foot down, it's like the car's trying to kill you. The RS, even though all-wheel drive, it didn't really matter. It's just so much power that the car is like literally like you're in a straight line, it's kind of just doing this. It's kind of fishtailing. A lot of fun. But good thing I got rid of it. Who knows? I might not be around right now to make do the live stream, right? So it was fun while it lasted. Mr. Hayes is up next. He says, hey, Ron, I have a cool season lawn. I already have Poa annua showing along the borders of my lawn. What is a cheap herbicide to use for Poa annua and cool season lawns? Fescue. Doesn't really exist. There's not, I mean, so put it this way, a cheap herbicide to get rid of Poa annua in a cool season lawn, glyphosate. But you got to be careful because you're going to damage your fescue lawn in the process. Like glyphosate is cheap and it will kill Poa annua. If you're talking about a selective herbicide to kill Poa annua, like something you can use for like broadcast sprays, then there's not really a cheap option. Like the stuff you're going to want to use, I got a bottle of it here, is Velocity PM. It is not cheap, but it is effective against Poa annua, and you have fescue. So if you have fescue or ryegrass, this is what you would want to use. This is the stuff to use if you want to do like a broadcast spray to get rid of Poa annua, but it is not cheap. It is not cheap. If you want cheap, dig it out or just use like glyphosate, like you paint it on or do like a very tight spot spray of glyphosate. That would be it, but you are going to cause injury to the grass that's around it. But if you want to get rid of Poa annua in a cool season lawn using like a broadcast spray and you have fescue or ryegrass, then Velocity PM is the way to go. The feedback we've been getting from it, outside of people saying, oh, it's really expensive, is that the people that have bought it have come back with really good results. They've been saying, oh man, this is like a godsend. I mean, I've got enough to last me the next 50 years, but it absolutely does work. So maybe you can find maybe some of your neighbors or friends that have the same problem, and maybe you guys can kind of go in on a bottle and make it more cost effective that way. I mean, that one bottle, this 1 16-ounce bottle, treats like 7 acres. So again, you're going to have plenty of product for a long time if you go with this. And before you ask, yes, I've asked the manufacturer about making it in smaller sizes, and they said that is a small size. So there's no plans to make it in anything smaller than the 16 ounce at this point. So if you want to get rid of Poa annua call it Poa control in cool season grass and cool season lawns, there you go. But bring your wallet. Bring your wallet. Magic ain't cheap, right? All right, next up is Vahid Navi. He says, hey, happy Friday, everyone. What's going on, Vahid? Hopefully you're doing well. And then next up is Brad Greer. He says, would it be good to verticut after scalping before the green up here in Huntsville, Alabama, Tiffway 419, and I plan to use T-Nex throughout the year? It depends on what you're trying to accomplish. So if you scalp the lawn and you still want to thin it out a little bit more, then yes, you could verticut it. In my case, I use verticutting as the way as my method for really thinning out the lawn. So I did the opposite of what you're doing. Like I verticut it, and then I did a cleanup cut with the mower. So I used verticutting primarily to thin the lawn out. So can you do that? Yes, you can. It just depends again what you're trying to accomplish. Like if you've already thinned the lawn out really nicely with scalping, then there's probably not a need to verticut it. But if it's still, you still like got a spongy layer across the entire lawn, you want to thin that out just a little bit more, then yeah, you can absolutely verticut it. There's no problem with doing that, Brad. Just really depends on what you're trying to accomplish. If you are going to verticut it, and especially if you've already applied pre-emergent, set up the verticutter to where it's just above the surface of the soil. You don't want it like carving channels into the soil like what a slit seeder would do. One, because it's too aggressive, and then second, you're also negatively impacting the effectiveness of the pre-emergent that you probably already put down. But outside of that, you can absolutely do it. There's no problem with that at all. Okay. All right. So Brad Greer, Brad, I think someone else is going to ask that question. So you, sir, will get to see that made into a short. So for whatever that means to you, you'll get to see it. Hopefully, maybe sometime next week or the week after, depending on the schedule. All right, Cedric G is up next. He says, Ron, I was trying to rock the super chat, but looks like it's unavailable. So yeah, if you want, so here's the thing, guys. I still haven't gotten AdSense back. Don't know what's going on with it. If you want to contribute to the channel or you want to support the channel, I set up a Cash App here, so you can do that. That's a way for you to, I guess in a sense, to do a super chat if you want to. It's a free way to support, not a free way, but it's a way to support the channel. Monetarily, if you want to do that, outside of like going to the store and buying something for your lawn. But yeah, that's a way to do it if you want to. Cedric, if you do a Cash App, I guess I can look and see, and then I can put you up as a show sponsor if you want. I think Archie did that last week. So just really depends on you, man. You can say, hey man, I put a super chat in, or I did a Cash App. Put some respect on my name, and then I'll put your name up there if you want. Okay. So yeah, that's how you can support the channel if you are so inclined. Not mandatory, if you want to, it's there. All right, next up we have Rob Schott. Rob Schott says, I just got my Catalyst 25-inch today. Before we go on, we must first clap it up, put some respect on the man's name. Got some new equipment, I like it. He says, so far, I love it, but it is very heavy. I'm still trying to figure out the best way to turn around. Now, first of all, you got to embrace the weight, Rob. A heavy reel mower is a good thing from a standpoint of like stripe action. I mean, the Catalyst is going to produce better stripes because it's a heavy mower. If you're having trouble turning it, especially if you're new to reel mowing, what I would say is you're probably not letting the mower do most of the work. Like my Allet is over 300 pounds. I can literally turn that mower with one hand. I take like 2 fingers and I can turn it with 2 fingers, but you have to allow the mower to do the work. So how can I describe it? So if you are coming to an end of a pass, right? Maybe you'll slow down, maybe throttle down a little bit. And then what I find is if I'm going to turn, let's say I'm going this way, I'm going to turn to my left, right? You're going to pick the mower up. What I do is I kind of like feint, kind of like go to the right a little bit, and then I literally just push the mower to the right. If the Catalyst has a differential, which I would imagine it does, because any modern reel mower worth its salt with a rear drum should have a differential, should have a split drum. When you do that, the mower is going to turn itself. Like the propulsion of the mower is going to help it just kind of pivot in place. And it really doesn't take that much effort to do it. So my Greensmaster is the same way. The Allet is the same way, and I imagine the Catalyst is very much the same way too. So it's more of a, if it's a technique thing. Don't get to the end of the run and then turn it like you would turn like a rotary mower, where you stop and then like pick it up and like move around and kind of muscle it back and forth. Allow the mower to do the work. Just slow it down, like tip it back slightly, and then just literally if you push the handlebars in the opposite direction of the way you want to go, the mower, as it's trying to go forward, will literally turn itself. And it takes some practice to get used to doing that. But once you get the feel for it, you can literally, 2 fingers. You can literally turn the mower with 2 fingers. It's not that much work at all. But it just takes practice. So give it a shot. I don't think I have any videos showing that. Maybe I do, but just give it a shot. And you'll as you do it more and more, it becomes easier. So just a practice thing. Just a practice thing. Don't muscle it around. Allow the mower to do the work. Next up is K Ward. He says, hey, Ron, waiting on my Revolution 26 to be delivered. It's in my city. Been a hard decision between that and the California Trimmer Catalyst. So you're going between like cartridge system mower or like fixed cutting mower, and you went with the Revolution. I think you're gonna be pretty happy with it, man. I mean, mine cuts great. It's a great mower. I really enjoy it. Really enjoy it. You can't go wrong with either one of them, but I think you're gonna be very happy with the Revolution. All right. G. Miller says, Evening Ron, 2 emails earlier. I sent you one regarding my soil test results. The other about the soil sample bucket, the UGA extension office uses. Cool, man. Yeah, I have to look, Jimmy, go through my email, see if I can dig it out. Believe it or not, I've been kind of bad this afternoon. I haven't gone through all my emails as yet. So I will take a look and I will give you an answer after the show. I will email you back. And then CXG5 Live says, just email my soil tests. AE Walker. It's got to be, if it's, as long as it's near the top, see if I can find it. Alan, is AE Walker. Okay, I think that's okay. So, yeah, okay. So, and you sent me a JPEG. Yay for that. Thank you, CGX Live. Thank goodness, man. If you guys send me pictures, send them as JPEGs. It makes my life so much easier. I don't have to get out here and do a bunch of conversion, a bunch of gymnastics prior to showing them. Okay, so here are your soil test results. We do a quick look here real quick. Let's resize that. Okay, so in your case, so a lime application, a dolomitic lime application. The reason why I say that is if you look at Mg, that is your magnesium, and that's low. So going with dolomitic lime makes sense for you. Your pH, again, is just on the bubble. So, 20, 30 pounds per 1,000 application of lime. A dolomitic lime is going to help bring that up. And then for your NPK, complete 14-7-14, a fertilizer that has nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium in it. That's what you're going to want to run throughout the season. That's going to be what you're going to go with. And then a micronutrient of some sort. So kind of like what I recommended to the other viewer, CXG. Again, a balanced fertilizer, like something with nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, obviously is what you're going to want. An option would be this. Would be our 14-7-14. So this guy here, and then that paired with this micronutrient, this. So between those two, that's going to get you in a much better spot. What I would tell you is, yeah, so that's gonna get you in a much better spot. Definitely do a lime application as well, though. I would do a lime app. Dolomitic lime is what I would say. So here is we can find here CXG5 granular fert micros, and then I can probably find you a dolomitic lime. I think I have one of those on Amazonia that Dolomite. You can probably find it locally too. If you look around, you might be able to go to like local spot and find some dolomitic lime. But if not, you're like one of these people that are like, hey, no, I just want to mail order it. Bring it to me. I'm not trying to go out there and like haul bags of product around. I want it brought to my doorstep. If that's you, then this is an option for dolomitic lime. All right, so that's what I would do. Those the dolomitic lime, 20 to 30 pounds per 1,000, and the micronutrient and the granular fertilizer, that would be what you'd use throughout the season. All right, that will help you out. And then the question you also have is, will manually aerating help with bare spots? Not real. I mean, if the soil is compacted, if you have like a highly compacted area, then yes. Outside of that, not really. I mean, if you have really compacted soil, core aeration is going to help relieve that compaction, which is going to make it easier for grass to grow in that spot. But if the soil is not compacted and you've got like a creeping grass like Bermuda or Zoysia, it's really going to be a time and a heat thing. Heat, sunlight, and time. And also ideal conditions. So if you've got a bunch of shade, that's going to negatively affect that ability for that area to fill in. So it kind of goes back to what I was telling another viewer that asked a question similar to this, is why is the spot bare in the first place, right? That's the thing I have to ask myself. When you have a problem in the lawn, you have to ask yourself, like, what is different about this spot of the lawn compared to over there where everything looks really good? Like, what's going on here that's not going on there? And if what's going on here is there's not a whole lot of sunlight, we got to fix the sunlight part, because everything else you'll do is not really going to matter if we don't fix that. So it depends on why it is. But again, unless you got compaction, core aeration, not really. All right, Timothy Gonzalez says, the neighbor had a big tree that we finally had cut down. The shade did a number on about 1/8 of my backyard. Okay, so it was a shade problem. So now we understand. Okay, so that helps, Timothy. It was a shade problem. The culprit, the perpetrator of the shade has been removed. So now we have no shade. So in your case, just give it time, man. You got plenty of direct sunlight now, so you should be in much better shape. I really wouldn't sweat it too much. You have fixed the problem. It's just a time thing now, which is awesome. A-okay. Tom Hoffenkamp, he says, thanks, Ron. Always appreciate your advice. Going light, worked to get the pH down. Nice. Sounds good. And then Joe Hicks has a question. Man, Joe, I get this question all the time, and there's no good way to answer it. He says, hey, Ron, what reel mower would you recommend for lawn care? The Rolex, the Catalyst, the Revolution. Which of these three would you go with? Depends on what you're trying to accomplish. The Rolex, I'm going to caveat this by saying I have not used any of the modern Rolexes, any of the new ones. The one that I had experience with was from 2 years ago, whenever the Revolution was in development, and I did not like it because I didn't care for the handlebars and I didn't care for the balance of the mower. Now, if you got a Rolex, do not send me hate mail saying my Rolex is the greatest thing since sliced bread. Your mower sucks. I get it. If you like your Rolex, fine. I'm telling you, the one that I used, I didn't care for it because it had handlebars that are similar to like the old school bicycles, like instead of the handlebars being in front of you like this, they are like this. And the problem with that is you put any kind of weight on, like downward pressure on that, coupled with the fact that the mower, the balance of it for my taste was a bit more aft. The mower would not ride on the surface of the grass or the turf really well. So if you're mowing along and the front of the mower is coming up even a little bit, that's going to have a really negative effect on the cut quality. So for that reason, I didn't really care for the Rolex. So between the Catalyst and the Revolution, these are really two different systems altogether. Really, if you're comparing the Catalyst, you buy that if you want an interchangeable cartridge system mower. So if you want a verticutter, a turf rake, and a mower that can also cut grass, then there's only really one option. It's the Catalyst. If all you care about is just a mower, just to cut grass, then the Revolution is a good choice because it's going to be less expensive than the Catalyst. I really like mine. It cuts really well. So it really depends. Really depends on what's your budget and what's more important to you. Do all you care about is cutting grass, or do you also want to be able to do the other cultivation practices like verticutting, like turf raking? If that's the case, then the Catalyst makes more sense. It just really depends on what you're after. So hope that helps. Again, don't send me hate mail if I didn't I'm not bashing anymore. I like all reel mowers really. And again, to kind of revisit what I said about the Rolex, I have not used one of the more recent ones to know what they're like. I mean, and I will say this for anyone designing a reel mower, like there's some things, I mean, not that any of you guys really care about my opinion, any of you guys that manufacture reel mowers, but like, if you really want to know what the basic design of what makes a really good reel mower, look at what Toro and look at what John Deere do. Because these people, they probably have a team of people whose their entire job, they probably fall asleep at night, they wake up in the middle of the night, they wake up in the morning, the first thing they think about is about turf grass and how can we cut turf grass that much better. And these people who have a huge budget and can pretty much design and build anything they want have decreed that handlebars like this is the way to go. Like the traditional way of the handlebar, the hoop handlebar is the way to go for optimal cut quality, for optimal handling of the mower. So Allet does that, the John Deere does that, the Toro does that, the Revolution does that. So I would say that there's some things you can take liberties on and be like, hey, we're gonna be artistic and be different. But there's some things where you're just, in my opinion, you're just wrong. And that's like handlebars like this is just wrong. You're being different, but it's not what like the best mowers in the world, arguably the best cutting machines on the planet, they do not opt for that. So that's only my thoughts. The only thing I would find, and I keep saying this, I tell Lee this too, like the one thing I'm waiting to see, and it's a small thing, but it makes a big difference. Again, going back to the fact that, again, Toro and John Deere have engineers that spend all their time figuring out how to make these machines cut as good as possible, is the fact that the handlebars on the Greensmaster, they can float a little bit. So you look at like even like my Allet, the Allet or True Cut or the Revolution or like pretty much any of the other mowers other than like John Deere's and Toros, is that the handlebars are hard mounted. And while that might not seem like like a big deal, like when you are going along mowing, unless your lawn is like pool table smooth, and even if it is, if you're mowing along and you're having to put a little bit of pressure on the handlebars, like a little bit of down pressure, you can cause that front of the mower to come up just a little bit. But with the Greensmaster, literally you can hold the handlebars and they'll kind of float, meaning the mower can kind of move, the cutting end can move kind of independently of you holding the handlebars. And this seems like a small thing, but it makes a difference in the overall just cut quality the mower is able to produce. And I really wish like everyone else would do that. I've looked at the design of it, and I guess I can see why some people don't do it, because it's more expensive as far as like you have to make a hinge setup, and you have to have like some stoppers to be able to keep the handlebars within, keep it like in that position. But so in other words, it just costs more money to do it that way. They may also have a patent on it. I don't know. Maybe that's part of why no one else does it. But it's small things like that that make greens mowers better. And like handlebars, like a traditional handlebar, in my opinion, is just a better way to go. Anyway, I beat this horse to death. Joseph, get whatever mower you like, whichever one like floats your boat. I've given you my opinion on it. The long short of it is, whatever mower you buy, as long as it's kept sharp and it's adjusted properly, it's going to produce a pretty good job cutting your grass. But I gave you my thoughts on what I like and what I don't like, and a lot of it is just really preference, right? A lot of it's preference. It's not really gospel, other than the fact that Toro and John Deere mowers are better than any of the mowers that you mentioned there. That I think is, you can't really argue that. But outside of that, everything else is preference. Okay, next up is Roger Lewis Sr. He says, still cold in Southern Virginia, highs in the mid-50s and high 30s, low 40s at night. I was somewhat lazy in the fall and didn't treat for weeds. Why did you not put pre-emergent down, man? Now we have to have this hard talk. I only fertilize and waters, lots of weeds help. Yeah, so your options, Roger, at this point is you can use, depending on the kind of weeds you have in your lawn, you can use post-emergent herbicides to clean those up. So, hopefully you don't have a whole lot of Poa annua, because you're in Southern Virginia. I'm guessing you probably have a cool season lawn. So hopefully you don't have Poa annua, because if you do, bring your wallet, because this is what you're going to have to use to get rid of it, assuming you got fescue or ryegrass. The thing I would say is this, right? While you can use like a three-way, you could use tenacity, you could use a selective herbicide to clean up the weeds that are currently in your lawn. What I would say is, we're now in the spring. The sins of the fall are forgotten. Get a pre-emergent down this time of year. Get a pre-emergent down in the spring, so you don't deal with crabgrass and a bunch of other weeds that are going to start germinating and become a problem as temperatures get warmer. So yes, you didn't do it in the fall, but you can still kind of make things better going forward by using a pre-emergent now. So some options that are easy to use and will work on what I'm guessing is a cool season lawn. If you go to shop and then weed killer, and then you go to pre-emergent, you can go with either prodiamine or dithiopyr, so dimension or prodiamine. Either one of these two. Either one of these two would be great options if you, let me think, if you have had a history of crabgrass in your lawn. Dimension can control young crabgrass, and this is also labeled to control a few more weeds than prodiamine, so this might be a better choice. There's not a huge price difference between them, so either one of these will work well. I would absolutely apply pre-emergent in the spring if you don't want to fight with weeds like during the spring and summer months. So, and by that I mean, you said temps in the mid-50s. So before your soil temps in your area are in the mid-50s, which probably sounds like they're getting close to that. Not quite there yet, but they're probably getting close. You're going to want to get a pre-emergent applied. So get that done. A bit early is better than a bit late when it comes to pre-emergent. And then when it comes to weeds, so let me do this for you. Let me give you first this. This is thing one, Roger, is pre-emergent. All right, so we'll kind of walk through this. We'll walk through this together. That's thing one. Thing one is pre-emergent. Definitely do that. So that way we can fix things going forward. All right. So if you got weeds in your lawn now, without knowing what you have, a couple of options for controlling existing weeds would be, if we go to cool season grass, depending on what you got going in your lawn, you could go with a 3-way like triad. Like this is if you've got like, I don't know what kind of grass you have, but if you have like fescue, Kentucky bluegrass, like turf type tall fescue or Kentucky bluegrass, like this can be used on pretty much all grasses other than your centipede, St. Augustine, and fine fescue doesn't tolerate this well. But if you've got like, again, like turf type tall fescue, Kentucky bluegrass, ryegrass, this is going to be just fine. You can also go with tenacity. What I would tell you is look at the labels and identify what the weeds that you have in your lawn, and based on what they are, you choose between tenacity or like a 3-way to help control them. So with tenacity, there is a kit that has surfactant and dye if you decide to go that route. If you decide to go with the 3-way, let me go back to here. So to go with the 3-way, there's also a kit that has surfactant and dye. So depending on, read the label, figure out which weed you're trying to control, and whichever one will do that, that's what you buy, and that's going to help you clean things up in your lawn. I'm going to give you a link to this that's going to have the cool season filter selected, so that way you don't go get anything that you shouldn't get, and and hopefully that helps you out. So Roger Lewis, this is thing 2, post-emergent herbicides. All right, that's thing 2, and that's going to put you in a good spot. So we'll get rid of the existing weeds using thing 2, and then we'll prevent weeds in the spring and summer using thing 1, and then all that's really left is to fertilize and mow. And you already got the fertilization part and the watering part down, so that's good. So we just got to add mowing to your fertilization and watering, and you'll be in a much better spot. So don't sweat it, man. I mean, what you're going through, other people have gone through as well too, but you definitely want to apply pre-emergent. It's going to make your life a lot less painful in the coming months if you do that. All right, and as always, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out, but hopefully that gets you on the right track as far as getting your lawn in better shape. Higgy Pop is up. He says, happy Friday. Have a great weekend, everyone. Got my super sod top dressing mix. Now just waiting for it to warm up. I like it. And then Tom Havenkamp says, funny that I have to push it up now. What is he talking about? Now I forget the context, Tom. Next up is Rick Wick. He says, I live in Houston. What is the best time in the spring to fertilize? Once the lawn wakes up, so once it's out of dormancy, it's beginning to grow, then you can begin introducing fertilizer. So if your lawn's completely dormant, I would not fertilize then, but if it's beginning, you're starting to see green throughout the lawn, it's starting to beginning to grow, you're going to start mowing it, then you can begin feeding the lawn with fertilizer, Rick. So depending on your lawn, every lawn is different. It could be now, it could be April, you know what I mean? But most people, especially if you're in the Southeast, between this time in March to April, you can begin feeding the lawn. So hope that helps, sir. And I'm sure someone else is gonna have that question. So Rick, you get to have a short with your name on it, man. Hopefully that's cool with you, your name in lights. All right, next up we have Jimmy Miller. He says, Ron, when you have significant dips, ruts in your lawn, would it be wise to just address those first before top dressing the entire lawn, then top dress to fix the ruts that remain after the top dress? Yeah, so if the question is if you have major channels and just really big uneven spots in your lawn, yeah, I would grade to fix those as much as I could. So if I have like a 6-8 inch drop off or hole in the lawn, I would fix that. I wouldn't try and top dress my way to fixing that. That's going to take you years to do it. So yes, depending on how severe the lawn is uneven, here's what I would do. I'm not saying you necessarily need to go out and grade the lawn to where it's perfectly smooth, but you want a couple things. You want it to drain properly, and then you want it to have contours that will flow well with mowing. You know what I mean? So if you got like really harsh drop-offs, like you're gonna have a lot of problems cutting that. You're gonna be scalping, it's gonna be a pain to deal with. But if you've got like a hill or an area that goes down, but you can kind of like contour it to where it's more of a gentle runoff and then back up, like that's not gonna be that bad. So without seeing pictures of it, it's kind of hard to give you advice directly what I would do. But if you have major uneven areas in a lawn, and it's a brand new lawn, you're going through a renovation, I would fix those. I would grade and fix those as much as I possibly could prior to top dressing. That is what I would do. So if that's what you're asking, that's how I'd go about it. All right, next up is Archie Amos. He says, good evening, young man. What are the difference between the two POAs, POA annua and POA trivialis? So POA trivialis, rough bluegrass, is, in my opinion, is a lot uglier. It's, as far as the treatment for it, velocity will do both. So you can use velocity against POA triv and POA annua. POA annua, I mean, here's the thing, if it weren't for the seed heads, POA annua actually isn't a bad looking grass. Like, if you could have POA annua with no seed heads in it, and you had a lawn that was just all that with no seed heads, it would actually, I don't think it would actually look too bad, because it's actually it's a pretty green. It's just the seed heads that make it look really ugly. And if you put it in another grass that's darker green, it doesn't look that great. But POA annua is it's a finer leaf. It produces a white flowering seed head. POA triv, or rough bluegrass, is well, describing it, it's more scraggly looking. Like, I could see you using POA annua as, assuming you not have the seed heads, I could see using POA annua as like field cover, as like ground cover, and having it look good. You would never do that, in my opinion, with like rough bluegrass with POA triv. Like, it's just not a good looking grass altogether. So as far as, can you take care of them, like certainty? Certainty is definitely labeled for POA annua. I believe it's labeled for POA triv too. That's a good question. Let us see. I think it's labeled for POA trivialis, but I don't know. I've never actually been asked that. Archie, let us find out together. I know velocity is labeled for both POA annua and POA trivialis. Let's see. Yeah, it's for both. That's what I thought. Yeah. So if you look at the label here for certainty, you got POA annua and POA triv. So rough bluegrass, rough stock bluegrass. So yeah, it's good for both. And then same thing with velocity. It will do both POA annua and POA triv. And again, of the two, POA triv is uglier. It's a lot, like, POA triv truly looks like a weed you would not want in your lawn. POA annua, if you could not have seed heads, I mean, it doesn't look terrible. It doesn't look terrible. You know what I mean? Like, I could see you could having a lawn or using it for ground cover, it weren't for all the seed heads in it. Next up is Frank V. He says, hey, Ron, does aerating Bermuda cause spectacle flow to become ineffective? Thank you. So here's the thing. Anything that you do to disturb the barrier can negatively affect your pre-emergent. So aeration can do it. If you get too crazy with like verticutting, it can do it. Now, having said that, I use prodiamine in the spring pretty much. I mean, I use prodiamine or dimension in the spring, normally in the month of February. I will core aerate my lawn pretty much every year, and I don't have a lot of issues with like weed would like break through after core aeration. So will it negatively affect your pre-emergent? Yes. Is it enough to truly cause a problem? It's not something that I've personally experienced. I guess it depends on the pre-emergent you use, the rate that you used, like how long you've been using pre-emergent, the overall health of your lawn, meaning like if your lawn is going to bounce back relatively quickly after core aeration, so you're relying on that natural weed control that you get from like a thick, healthy lawn, you're a lot less likely to have weeds, a lot of breakthrough. So it depends. But just from my personal experience, I have not had a lot of weed issues after core aeration. But anything you do, the correct answer is anything you do that disturbs the barrier is going to negatively affect the effectiveness of your pre-emergent. So there you go, Frank. So hopefully that helps you. But I would still core aerate your lawn, man. There's so many benefits. And also think about this way as well, Frank. The time of year when a lot of people core aerate, the lawn is already out of dormancy. You're already actively mowing it, so it should be thickening up. It should be doing fairly well. So again, you're relying on the fact that you got that thick stand of turf grass to kind of keep weeds at bay. There are so many benefits to core aeration that I would not do it during the season. I mean, it helps so much with air, with water getting into the soil, with your fertilizer working better. If you're putting out a granular biostimulant, it helps that to work better. if you are top dressing, it helps the blend you're using to better integrate with the existing soil profile. So there's tons of benefits to core aerations. I would absolutely do that. I would not let the fact that you may slightly disturb your pre-emergent barrier keep you away from core aerating your lawn. Okay, so hope that helps, sir. Basically, still core aerate your lawn. That's what I would tell you. All right, next up is Lawn with Me. He says, all winter I told myself I was going to give my neighbors a chance to shine this year. Change of heart because of your video. Man, look, you can let your neighbors shine. You can help them out some. But here's the thing, Lawn with Me. If you are starting here, if you are starting here and you've already been here and your neighbors are down here, if you keep working, unless they're going to put in like twice, triple the amount of work that you're putting in, it's going to be kind of tough for them to catch you. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't sweat it too much, man. If you're going to keep doing what you're doing, you're probably going to be ahead of the game. But, you know, but I said in a video, I think a couple years ago, which is all things being equal, right? Nutrient program being equal, all things being equal, he or she who mows most is going to win. That's what, as far as like visually, appearance wise, like you mow your grass more, it's gonna look better than a grass that is mowed less frequently. So if you mow more than them, given the same nutrient program, your grass should look better. So that's one way to stay ahead. And that's actually takes a lot of work, right? So that's a way you can have your competitive advantage. All right, Ian P. Myers is up next. He says, I live in Fort Worth and scout my lawn down to dirt with the 25-inch California Trimmer Classic. I love your content, Ron. It's helped me out tremendously. I appreciate it, man. Ian, I am glad to be of assistance. Ian, I'm glad that you got your real mower and you got your scalped your lawn. I mean, down to dirt, a bit more aggressive than I would, but hey, different strokes for different folks. If it works for you, go for it. Julius Elliott says, where can I buy the lime? You can find it I mean, if you go to any of your local garden stores, they should sell lime. If you're someone that's like, I don't want to go through the trouble of going to get it myself, you can get it off of Amazon. Actually, the price right now for dolomitic lime isn't terrible. So I'll give you both. If you need calcitic, or you need dolomitic lime, you can go with this guy, Julius. So at Julius Elias, at Julius. Dolomitic limon there. And if you want calcitic lime, you can go with this calcitic lime. All right, so that so those are options if you want to get it delivered to you. You will probably be able to find it cheaper if you can find it locally, but it just depends on if you want to go through the trouble of doing that. But those are both options that will also work for you. All right. Jonathan Camarato says, happy Friday, Ron. Spring is close. Add another like. I appreciate that, Jonathan. Thanks so much. And then next up is Ryan N. He says, hey, Ron, I see the liquid fertilizer is back in stock. I want to spoon feed my lawn this year. Thoughts on using the 901C carbon kit or the 22-3 carbon kit with release 0? Either one can work. Either one can work. I've done both. They both produce great results. So here's the pros and cons. If you go with 901, the 901C carbon kit, it is technically like one less thing to buy because you could do 901C has fertilizer in it, and it also has a 10% micronized carbon that release 0 has, because 901C is basically release 0 with fertilizer. Now, having said that, if you want to, but here's the thing, here's the one negative to that. If you decide to go with the 901C carbon kit for spoon feeding, you're still going to want to use or add a micronutrient along with it, because the carbon kit doesn't have any iron, zinc, molybdenum, copper. It doesn't have any of those in the carbon kit. The 22-3 fertilizer, the one we partnered with the Andersons to create over the last couple of years, but was released last year. As far as like a fertilizer, a liquid fertilizer that checks a lot of the boxes. So if you were trying to go, if you're trying to get a bit of everything, then the 22-3 is pretty tough to beat. So you could do 22-3 with the release 0 carbon kit, and you've got the micronutrients that's in that. You've got the nitrogen, the phosphorus, the potassium that's in the liquid fertilizer. There's some fulvic acid in there. I mean, either one will work well. I started out the season, like the first foliar spray I did on my lawn was the 901C carbon kit with our micronutrient. What I will likely use for most of the feeding throughout this season, probably starting next month, we'll see. It'll either be 901C again next month, but probably next month I will switch to 22.3 with the Release Zero Carbon kit, and that will be what I'll use along with Primo and everything else throughout the season. Either one will work. Either one will work well. What I would say is this: if you had a situation where you have soil that has very high phosphorus levels, right, and you're trying to avoid materially increasing phosphorus any amount, then that's where 901C has an advantage over the 22.3, because the 22.3 has 2% phosphorus. It's a small amount, but it is some, and you are going to be increasing those levels, especially if you are mulching your clippings back into the lawn. So 901C, if you're looking for a lower phosphorus program, that would be the way to go. Either one will work. They're both excellent options. I mean, you're not gonna have a great result with if you pick one or the other. They're both gonna work really well. So it's really your choice, Ryan. Either one's gonna work well. If you do there's less to buy if you do the 22.3 route. If you go the 901C route, you're still going to need a micronutrient to cover like your iron, copper, zinc, molybdenum, all those guys. So hope that helps answer your question. As far as rates, the 901C carbon kit, for any of the Miramichi liquids, it's 3 ounces per 1,000. And for the 22.3 or the micronutrient, it's 6 ounces per 1,000. So that's the only other thing you didn't ask that, but that's only the consideration you would make as far as how you would use the products. So hope that helps, sir. You can look at this video if you want to see how I mix them just this past Sunday. I think it is here. Where is it? I think it is up here. It should be. Let me reload and see if Studio will find it. There we go. Cool. This one right here. My last video that I published, fertilizer time. This guy right here. Watch this. This shows how I use the 901C carbon kit. I show mixing biospectrum, mixing all of it. So at Ryan, and actually, you know what? I'm going to put it here so that the folks on the other platforms can get it. How to use 901C carbon kit. So that video shows it right there. So hope that helps, sir. And if you have any other questions, let me know. Shabazz, hey Ron, I scalped my 419 Bermuda lawn on level 1, so pretty low. You took it down. I intend to mow on level 2 throughout the season. Should I wait till the grass reaches level 2 or keep cutting at level 1? If you can cut it at level 1 and it's not scalping, you can do that. So the height of cut that you maintain your lawn is driven by two things. One, how low can you mow the lawn without scalping, without injuring it? Because you don't want to do that. And then second, how much time do you have to mow your grass? Because the lower you go, the more frequently you're going to have to mow to not violate like the 1/3 rule, right? To where you're not cutting off too much between mowings. The lower you go, the more frequently you have to mow. So if you went down to level 1 on your mower and you can mow the entire lawn on level 1 and it's not causing like fresh scalping every time you do it, then you can absolutely do that. And what you might find is you can maintain it on level 1 for the start of the season. And then maybe when you get into like May, it gets warmer, the grass is growing a bit faster, you don't want to have to mow quite as often, then you could bump it up to level 2 and just keep it there all season. So if you're not scalping, level 1 is fine. If you are scalping, I would not continuously scalp the grass over and over and over. I would bump it up to like 1.5 or 2 or whatever level you need to go up to where whenever you're mowing the grass, you are not injuring it by scalping. So hope that helps, sir. Great question. If you need anything else, definitely let me know. And yeah, man, good job. Good job getting the lawn reset and getting ready for this upcoming season. All right. Next up, Jimmy Miller. Sorry for the confusion. I didn't notice the other Jimmy Miller was asking soul questions too. Yeah, there's two Jimmy Millers. All right, Robert Wallace, man, my man, Mr. Clemson, but also a Falcons fan, so you're okay. He's happy Friday, Ron. Hope all is well. I can't complain, man. Hanging in there. And then Jimmy Miller says, Ron, as a previous True Cut owner, what advice would you give me about using one, cut in 2 directions or 4, etc.? Oh, keep the chain lubricated, like get some like the chain lube that they use for motorcycles that's like a bit tacky so it won't like sling off. So make sure you use like a spray lubricant for the chain, because if you don't do that, you will wear out the sprockets a lot faster and they're kind of expensive and a pain to replace. So do that. As far as mowing, yeah, multiple directions for sure with the True Cut, especially given the way that the mower is propelled. You have those two drive wheels. It's really easy to get ruts and like hot spots in the lawn if you mow it the same way each time. So if your lawn will tolerate, it makes sense for you to mow it in 4 different directions, you can do that. For a number of years, that's what I used to do. I used to mow the lawn, I'll show you, like this. So if this is my lawn, I would mow it like this, like this, like this, and then like this. So I'd have like literally like, like a diamond checkerboard thing going on with the True Cut. So you could do it in 4 directions if it will tolerate that. Like if you have a slope, kind of hard to do that on a slope, but a flat lawn, you can mow in 4 directions and it not really be a problem. But yeah, outside of that, make sure you have a good roller on it. I like the grooved roller, like the one that Real Roller sells is a really good one. Put a grooved roller on it and go to town. This should work great for you. Mr. Hayes says, "Hey, Ron, can you sum a few ounces of velocity, PM neighbor?" No, that's too much of a hassle, man. I did that one time. I helped someone out. I didn't even sell to him. I helped someone out one time as far as like with some growth regulator, and it turned into one big debacle. So I'm like, yeah, never again. Never doing that again. So no, I would say this, Mr. Hayes, if you have POA annua and POA Triv in your lawn, your neighbors probably have the same thing too. So you guys can kind of go in on a bottle and you guys can kind of share it, and you'll get use out of it. They'll get use out of it. There's plenty to go around. That's the way that I would go. Roger Lewis says, "Thanks for the help, Ron. I appreciate you. God bless. You are very welcome, sir. Thank you for watching the live stream. It really means a lot." All right. Next up is Josian Torres. He says, "Hola. What post-emergent will kill Bahia in a Bermuda lawn? Ocala, Florida. I have just the thing. Josian. If the other way around, I wouldn't have the problem. I wouldn't have an answer for you. But if you're trying to get rid of Bahia grass in a Bermuda lawn, you can use Celsius. See, Celsius is an amazing post-emergent herbicide for warm season turf grass, for warm season grasses other than Bahia. Bahia, if you spray this on it, it will injure and or kill it. So this is what I would use. I would use Celsius and a bit of surfactant. The Bermuda will tolerate it just fine. The Bahia grass will not. So that is what I would use. And if you want to find some Celsius, you can find it right here on the Golf Course Lawn Store. I would get surfactant with it. If you have a smaller lawn, you can get the smaller kit, and that will get you all squared away, sir. That is what I would do. So at Josian Torres, there you go. So you want to remove Bahia and Bermuda, Celsius. Okay, next we have DTice79. He says, "I have Bermuda. Weeds already taken over." That's not good. "The lawn has never been dethatched / verticut, so when I cut the lawn, it feels like I'm floating. Should I dethatch before I put down pre-emergent or post-emergent?" In general, I'm not a huge fan of dethatching Bermuda. Here's what I would say is if the lawn has been neglected for a long period of time, you got a lot of thatch in it, and you want to do it this time, like the start of the season, this one time, you could go ahead with it. You could also consider just scalping the lawn. You know what I mean? If you get your mower and you can set it down to the lowest height, like level 1, if you got a rotary mower, that's another way of getting a lot of the that dead material out. That should help improve the quality of mowing on the grass. So dethatching, sure. If you can, verticutting, in my opinion, is a better way to go. It's less aggressive and it accomplishes the same thing in a better way, in a less stressful way to the grass. But if all you got access to is a dethatcher, you could do that, this year, and then really just rely on like verticutting and maybe scalping in years to come. But in general, I don't really recommend dethatching Bermuda because it is so aggressive, and you can get like all the benefits without the stress by just verticutting it. So I would try and lean you more towards verticutting than dethatching DTice. Think about it, verticutting, also known as vertical mowing, is like you're literally like cutting the lawn just vertically, whereas dethatching is more of like a tearing type action. It's just a lot more aggressive than verticutting. So that's why I'm trying to lean you towards verticutting over dethatching. So hope that helps. The Triller from Manila is in the live stream. He says, hey, Rom, it's Happy Friday. What's going on, man? Hopefully you're doing all right. And then Tom Hoffenkamp is up next. He says, sorry, Ron, a slow typing, 2 messages. Over 2 years, I pushed my pH down. Now it falls on its own, so I need to push it up. I know Fert can lower pH. That's likely the root cause. Yeah, like the salts in fertilizer can have an acidifying, can help not acidifying, but can help lower pH over time. So yes, that might be what you're seeing. But yeah, you can always use some lime to bump it up. Jared Owens says, you get my email, Ron? I don't know. I haven't looked. Is your name Jared? I don't see if I see it in here. I'll look really quickly. If it's not here, then I'll have to come back to it. I don't see anything. I don't see any emails from anyone named Jared in my inbox, Jared. So if you did, either email me under a different name or whatever you email, the size was too big and didn't come through. So you can try emailing me again later. I can take a look at it if it comes in later. It is ron@golfcourselawn.com. And I can always answer whatever question you have or give feedback after the show if it is if it's not here. I don't see it. Unless your name is Mel. Actually, I got some pictures from Mel, someone named Mel. That has a St. Augustine palmetto in, oh my goodness, great. You know what? Here's the thing, guys. I got to show this. It's going to take me a minute to get this up. But give me 1 second. Hold on. Now, here's the thing. You know, I am not traditionally a fan of St. Augustine grass. I think it kind of looks like crabgrass, but like nice looking crabgrass. However, man, tell you what. Hang on, I don't need that. I'm not sure why you're sending me. Oh yeah, your DIY ones. But I'll tell you what, man, some St. Augustine done right is this right here. Wow. Wow. This is pretty. I mean, even being a Bermuda guy, I got to put some respect on Mel's name. This is looking clean. I mean, look at that. That is a pretty standard turf grass. I don't care who you are. Even if you like Bermuda and Zoysia, you have to respect that. That looks good. And then this right here. Very nice. Beautiful color. Beautiful color. Granted, I mean, you don't have the stripe action that you have in Bermuda. However, like the color is, man, it looks good. That looks really good, man. Nice work. You know, we'll clap it up for you, man. That looks, I salute you. Looks really nice. Jared, I'm not sure if your name is Mel, but if it's not, then I don't have an email from you. So email me and I will take a look at it and I'll share it later. And he said, I had some pictures I wanted your feedback on. Love the content. I appreciate that, sir. And again, if your pictures don't come on this week, I will get it on the show for next week. So don't, if you send a picture later on, and I'll start next week's folder tonight and I'll just drop them in there so that way I don't miss it for next week. So fair enough. WJM41 says, great show, Ron. Patiently waiting for warm temps and the lawn to come alive. Aren't we all? Aren't we all, sir? And he says, Ron, when do you do your first app of fertilizer? Already done. It was done this past weekend. I did the 12024 and I did the 901C carbon kit. If you want to see what I did, you can see that right here. Like what I actually did on my lawn this past Sunday. So 2 days from now will be a week. WJ4, Ron spraying his lawn. There you go. All right, next up is Earl West. He says, hey, Ron, can I put down 14714 Fert, Magical, Essential G at the same time? Also, how long do I need to wait to put down 901C, Biospectrum, Carbon Kit? Yes, you can do, they're all different. So yes, you could literally do all those on the same day if you wanted to. The order that I would do them in is Magical or Essential G doesn't really matter, but I would do those first and then followed by the 14714, the fertilizer. And then if you're spraying the 901C carbon kit, you could do that after you did all the granular if you wanted to. Let's say tomorrow, let's say we could Thanos snap and tomorrow morning we're standing in front of your lawn and you've got all this stuff and you want to get it all done tomorrow because Sunday you got better things to do than work on your lawn, right? In that case, you could do all of those. You could do the lime treatment, you could do Essential G, you could do 14714, and then you could spray the 901C carbon kit, and then you're going to do absolutely nothing for the rest of the day. And then the following day, you'll run, if you have irrigation, you'll run irrigation to water in the fertilizer, the Essential G, and the Magical, because that way you'll give the foliar spray that you're doing with 901C like a full day, like to dry and be taken up by the plant. And then the following day you can water everything in and again, go on with your Sunday, right? So that is how I would do it if I were going to do all that in a weekend. You can do them all together because it doesn't, they're even though it seems like a bunch of stuff, they're all different. They're all doing different things. Like the Magical is working to improve the soil pH or either raise or lowering it, depending on which product you got. Essential G is a biostimulant. You're putting compost, a microbial package. You're just helping to improve the quality of the soil so that your 14-7-14 fertilizer works better. And then 901C and the 901C carbon kit is a foliar spray. So again, one is like a vitamin you're taking in and ingesting. Another one is like a like sunblock you're spraying on your skin, right? I mean, best example I could come up with, like off the cuff. All right, so hope that helps. Hey, you can't, doesn't hurt to ask, Mr. Hayes, right? Didn't hurt to ask. All I can say is no, but it didn't. If you don't ask, you can't know for sure, right? Oh yeah, and then Earl West says, oh yeah, thanks for the help with my soil test kit and info on what fert to use. You are very, very welcome, sir. He says, Johnny Bravo says, how did your wife put up with all the time in the yard? Man, look, man, the yard, it's like zen for me. I do some of my best thinking when I'm in the yard. I, you know, it's like, it's a good time. Plus, she likes how the way the lawn looks. So it's not a problem. It's not a problem. And I think, let me see here. I think that's it, Johnny. I think that's it. I think you are the last question / comment of the evening. So on that bombshell, we will cue the outro music. Well, guys, gals, thank you so much for taking the time to come hang out with me this Friday evening. Spring is upon us, so if you've not got your pre-emergent, for the love of everything holy, please put some pre-emergent out, because if not, we're going to be talking a month or two from now about weeds all being through your lawn. I'll be recommending more expensive products to get rid of it, and we can avoid all of that if you simply apply some pre-emergent this time of year. So if you've not done that, one of the best things you can do to keep your lawn weed-free this season. Outside of that, if you're looking for quality fertilizers, biostimulants, growth regulators, we have all that in stock and shipping at the Golf Course Lawn Store. Would appreciate the chance to earn your business and support. We'll see you guys next week. If you're going out there working in the lawn this weekend, have an amazing weekend. Be safe. Don't do anything I would do. And we'll talk next week. Take care.